In a contained, seemingly utopian facility in the mid-21st century, the residents hope to be chosen to go to the island, the last uncontaminated place on Earth. But when one inhabitant discovers that there are sinister forces at work, he and a female friend make a daring escape. Welcome to another feature presentation of Midnight Double Feature, and today we're talking about The Island, directed by Michael Bay. So Michael Bay, Colin.
Michael Bay.
Michael fucking Bay. Yeah. What's your? Okay. So with these episodes, what I like to do is like whenever we cover, I guess, the first movie of a director, of a notable director, I kind of want to just sort of, I guess, just discuss the director, if that makes sense. What do you think? What are your thoughts on Michael Bay?
You fucking know what I think of Michael Bay, dude. Like we've never talked about it, and I know that you fucking know because I can't see you right now, but I can hear your grin. Like I can hear it so well, even before you started laughing. No, I don't fucking like Michael Bay, man, and I'm not one of those like. Okay. Michael Bay is like the Nickelback of movies. It's very easy to. It's very formulaic, and it's very easy to knock it. And it's always basically going to be the same thing. You know, there's going to be some big explosions. There'll be attractive people in it. You know, it'll be just, you know, the straightforward A to B kind of, you know, action movie. Whereas the same way that I feel like people talk about like Nickelback write songs, it's just straight A to B, verse, chorus kind of thing. But the thing about it is like it's become trendy to kind of hate. You know, those things, it's trendy to hate on Michael Bay and
that's
stuff.
That's why I ask. Because, like, I mean, like, do you genuinely not like his filmmaking? Or do you, like, I mean, because a lot of people just kind of jump aboard the train. So I just wanted to, like, that's the reason why I kind of wanted to chat about it.
Right, yeah, for sure. Because, no, I don't like the majority of his movies. I do like Armageddon. Like, just because it's nostalgic. I grew up watching that. I was probably like 7 or 8 when that came out. And I still thought that, you know, I thought that movie was cool. It had a really good like ensemble cast. And, I mean, Michael Clark Duncan and Steve Buscemi, which are also in this movie. But there's something that this movie, it just... I mean, in Michael Bay in general, we can talk as much as we want about Transformers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you know, or any of his newer stuff. But there was a time when like Michael Bay, I mean, was a decent director, you know, before it kind of became tired and worn out, and it's synonymous with a lot of over-the-top special effects things, which he's just notorious for, you know. Like, literally, I'm watching this movie with my girlfriend and her brother and sister, and we're like, why, you know, I can't remember who it was, but they're like, why is that blowing up? You know, I was like, because it's Michael Bay. It doesn't even need an explanation. Like, there's a reason, there might be some kind of logical reason for why everything is blowing up behind them, but most importantly, it's because it's Michael Bay. And I don't just absolutely dread his movies. But I mean, I certainly don't own any of them. I wouldn't go to a theater to watch them. You know, I don't just like, oh my God, I find his movies offensive, you know, just everything. It's the age of, you know, it's the age of everything being the worst thing ever. So I think people just flock to like hate stuff. You know, obviously he has some kind of talent because he's bringing people in with his movies, but certainly not me. So that's what I think about Michael Bay. What do you think about Michael Bay?
I think we're on two separate playing fields here.
Oh God.
Okay. No, look, I don't love the guy. I don't love his movies. But I mean, I can't deny that I find them enjoyable. Just from a stupid check your brain at the door kind of sort of way. So Bad Boys for me, for you it was Armageddon. For me it was Bad Boys that was really nostalgic. So me and my brother loved that movie back in the day. It's still funny now, but just seeing Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, there's such a good sort of pairing, and those two movies are ridiculous. Like the humor in them are just it's so juvenile, but they're so the pairing with those two is absolutely fantastic. And Bad Boys 2 stands as one of my favorite action movies, and the action in his movies is so shallow, but it's visually it's outstanding. Like, I mean, you can, I guess, put his action sequences next to, let's say George Miller in Fury Road, right? Like, I mean, George Miller's gonna fucking walk all over Bay in this situation, but I mean, I don't want to take anything from Bay in the action department because his action is actually pretty good. Like, it's energetic, it's exciting to watch. The music is often pretty good. Like, Steve Jablonsky does the music for this, and I think it kind of adds to the atmosphere that he's trying to build. But I don't hate Bay as much as a lot of people do. I mean, look, I can 100% agree that a lot of the times he goes way too far with shit. Like, for example, racism in Transformers. Like, there's some fucking blatant shit in that.
Especially in this one, there's a lot of like, like the woman at the receptionist desk and the construction worker at the end. He's like, "Oh, Jesus must love you." I was like, "Oh my god, dude!" Like,
good lord,
Jesus.
Yeah, man, he's got a lot of that shit. But I mean, there are other strikes for Bay as well. Like, I mean, LSG say that their term is tactical. Like with his not him in particular, but like when you get like a military group like the Marines or a SWAT team, like just the way their stances are and the way they sort of breach and shit like that, it's more tactical than actually tactical. Like it's just for show. It's not really what those sort of operations would look like.
Yeah.
But look, The Rock is a fantastic movie. It's terrible.
I do like The Rock.
Yeah, it's terrible, but it's fantastic. Armageddon, terrible, but again, fantastic. Pearl Harbor is just straight terrible. Bad Boys 2, again, really, actually, really decent action, but again, everything else is kind of terrible. I'm gonna skip. Well, I'm just going up his resume, right? I'm gonna skip the island because we're about to talk about it. Transformers. I like the first Transformers.
No, the first one, I actually did see the first one in theaters, and I was like, oh, okay, that's not that bad. Like, I actually kind of like that. We've got the original voice of Optimus Prime back, and I was like, and I love Bumblebee as a character. I actually like that I saw the trailer for the Bumblebee movie, and I was like, I actually don't hate that, and I hated the idea of it, but I've realized that he's honestly, especially in the films, becomes more of a standout character than Optimus Prime. I mean, there's so much Bumblebee merchandise and shit, but he's a great character. I actually do like that character a lot.
He is. And that first Transformers, it was really. I was the perfect age for when that movie came out. I was 14 years old. So when I saw that like movie, it blew my mind. And then Transformers 2: Revenge of the Fallen came out, and that was a disaster. It was just excess. That's literally the only thing, excess. That's the only word for it. Transformers: Dark of the Moon is actually pretty decent. Only 2 out of 5 Transformers movies are actually watchable, and those 2 are the ones. Pain and Gain is actually half decent, but again, it feels. I mean, it's very juvenile. Transformers: Age of Extinction is unwatchable. 13 Hours: The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi. So that is a fantastic movie. That actually might be one of Bay's sort of best movies to date. It's about the soldiers who are trapped in Syria when shit went down. John Krasinski's in it. It's actually pretty good, man.
Oh
Transformers: The Last Night is a abortion of a movie. Do not watch it.
God.
Dude, seriously. And like that franchise is now going downhill as well because Transformers Age of Extinction made over $1 billion and Transformers The Last Night it didn't flop, but it didn't make as much. So I'm really glad that franchise is failing.
Well, dude, like you also look at Michael Bay, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Amityville Horror, Friday the 13th,
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street, and like all of those things were just kind of forgettable. And I think there's something about. And I tell you what, I'm just gonna segue into like kind of like my opening thoughts if you're cool with that. But he makes movies that are just forgettable, and not every like what you said. It's a good point to like, well, go in there and just kind of unfasten your belt and just kind of sit back and take your brain off for a little while because it's not really that kind of movie, but it's so hard for me to do that because
I think just quickly, I think it's worthy to note that he produced those movies. Like he didn't direct the horror ones.
Oh, okay. I thought he directed.
Yeah. No. I mean, there's no explosions in them, so that's how you know.
Right. But there's something about a lot of his movies that just become so forgettable. Like you said earlier on, Armageddon, Bad Boys, those are good movies. But as you're going on, it just becomes this thing of like, it's kind of like Joel Schumacher. Like Joel Schumacher made some amazing movies, and then later on in his career things just got very weird and very commercial and very flashy, and I don't like the Transformers movie strictly for, I mean, there's parts where you see the Autobots fighting the Decepticons, and it's almost impossible to tell what's going on. It's like sensory overload for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so fucking heavy, but I hate it because this is a guy who on a limited budget makes better movies. There's just people like that. There's people who once they get a big budget, it just kind of all goes downhill from there because the sky is the limit. But really it was kind of like I've been reading this awesome book about Freddie Mercury. It's called Somebody to Love. It's really, really, really good. But it's an autobiography. And have you ever heard the song Crazy Little Thing Called Love by Queen?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have.
Okay, cool. Well, basically, Freddie Mercury was sitting in a fucking bathtub, playing on a guitar, and wrote these chords. And he's not a guitar player; he's a piano player. And somebody was like, "How did you write that song?" He goes, "Well, because I didn't really know what to do because I'm not a guitar player." He's like, "I just started
you have to do the accent."
Oh, darling, just because I was fucking around with this guitar, and
Nice.
but basically he was limited because he didn't have all of this technique and all of this knowledge to pull from as a guitar player, and I thought it was interesting because you see that with a lot of filmmakers who, once you give them all this open field, things kind of start going sour, and I think that Michael Bay is a good example of that. And I'm sure. I'm also sure there's plenty of directors that don't do that. I mean, you look at Tarantino, compare Reservoir Dogs to Django, and or whatever. They're not that much of like flashier movies. His movies have gotten a little bit bigger, but I think in a better way, in a good way. And I mean, Hateful Eight was pretty modest. It was not it's not quite as spectacular as Django, but I still think that when you keep directors like this kind of in a box, they do a little bit better. And I think that when they kind of think the sky's the limit, you need to have something kind of controlling you and reining you in. You need to have some kind of restrictions because ultimately people like Michael Bay and Joel Schumacher, I think, would make better movies if they stuck to that. Schumacher, I'm talking about like Lost Boys and Flatliners, and this is the same guy who makes fucking Batman and Robin. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, like, come on. But I mean, oh, sorry.
I agree, man. I was going to say I agree because I was talking about this on this week's upcoming attractions episode where we reviewed, Matt and I reviewed Mile 22. So Mile 22 is directed by Peter Berg, and Peter Berg's, he's directed some pretty good movies. My favorite is Patriots Day. So that's about the Boston bombings, and that's not, the budget of that movie is nothing compared to another movie he directed, which is Battleship, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah, and Hancock. Right? So,
I used to love Hancock, and then I grew up, and I was like, oh my God, this movie's awful.
They're not great. But, I mean, the budgets of his two best movies, which in my opinion are Lone Survivor and Patriots Day, they're so much smaller than those two big movies which are actually absolutely not that great. And that might be down to a number of things. It might be down to like studio interference and shit like that, because like
Mm.
the higher you go in terms of money, the more sort of interference you get from like studios and shit like that. So that might be a factor. But yeah, oftentimes I definitely agree with you. You do get directors who, when they work on a smaller budget, then that's where they thrive. Um, Give me your thoughts on the island, though. I think in terms of Ireland, and if you look at Bay's sort of resume, it's kind of restrained compared to his other movies. Even though there are massive action sequences and shit like that,
Mhm.
it is a bit more restrained than let's say fucking Transformers or something like that.
Oh God, yeah. Like I think it's undeniably like a visually striking movie. There's some things about it that almost reminded me of J.J. Abrams. Like just again, and we talked about this on Super 8, and I've said this 1,000 times. The use of the blue and the yellows, especially in this movie, they're so heavy. But there's ultimately something about it that's really forgettable to me. I think it borrows from a lot of other sci-fi, and I mean, and it's got problems even without Michael Bay, is what I'm saying. Michael Bay didn't write this movie, I don't think. But basically, the movie,
Can you imagine what a script for Michael Bay might look like?
it's just
Just like in crayon and shit. And this is what we do. We blow
'Cause,
this
yeah,
shit up.
yeah. There's
Fucking
so
scripts on fire.
he's like, okay, yeah, and when you sit down, you're gonna blow up. By the way, but like, he seems like a director who comes up with a lot of just reasons to blow stuff up, and and in this movie, like you said, it is a little bit more restricted, but even down to like the performances sometimes of Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson, like I get that they're kind of supposed to be playing very young-minded, naive people. What do they say, around age 15 or something like that?
Yeah.
But they downright act like they're playing like 10-year-olds sometimes. And I was like, dude, like, I mean, some of this stuff is just, I mean, at 15, I'm not saying I was just the smartest kid on the block, but they're literally, they act like 10-year-olds. They act like kids, like, set out into the world, which I get they kind of are, but at 15 years old, I mean, he had some kind of sense. But there's something about their performances, especially Scarlett Johansson's, that I cannot get behind. Ewan McGregor's not far ahead of her, but there's something about their performances that I just really didn't care for. I don't know if it's just because they're just playing. They're very two-dimensional characters. I don't feel like they're fleshed out all that well. They kind of play that like an alien from another planet kind of thing, like figuring out all of the stuff, which is, I get it, that's what the character's kind of supposed to be, but I don't know, there's just something about the performances to me, it's just goofy, and I couldn't get away from that, and it took me away from the movie at times, just because I was like, God, this is kind of dumb, man. And it's a good premise for a movie. I think that's the worst thing about it, is that it's a great premise. But it kind of leaves more questions to be like, well, if they can clone a whole person, why don't they just clone the heart or the kidneys? Like, why do they need the whole person? Like, there's like movies like this, because they're kind of, would you say this is a high concept kind of movie?
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So it kind of, especially, I mean, I do this with movies in general, but with high concept movies so much more, is sitting down and kind of being like, well, wait, wouldn't it just be simpler to do, blah, blah. And you can't do that all the time, because you're going to poke holes in a movie till you go fucking crazy. But ultimately, I think it just leaves a lot to be desired, especially from the performances. And I mean, in the writing as well. This movie's way too long. Like, this movie
It is long. Yeah, it
2
doesn't have to be
hours
that
and
long.
yeah, it's fucking 2 hours and 12 minutes long. It's like, God damn. And I think they could cut a lot of this movie out. There's a lot of like character transitions that I don't understand, like the agent who's trying to catch them the whole time. Like, there's never really, it just kind of, I feel like his turn just comes out of nowhere. I didn't really feel like it was like gearing up to anything. Did you get that feeling, or did I totally miss something? Like, I never felt like there were moments where it showed him kind of having bits of doubt in the system.
Yeah, look, I think there are kind of seeds that are planted in there. There are a couple moments when Merrick is talking about the they're called agnates, but we'll just call them clones.
Hmm.
There are moments when like he's talking about the clones, and you do kind of get like a just kind of like a shot of the agent's name is Laurent. You get a kind of like a shot of Laurent's face, and there are little kind of like seeds like that I did kind of like. But I mean, yeah, like it's not. I don't. To me, it didn't really come out of nowhere. But yeah, we'll get to my thoughts.
Um, well, yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. Like I don't think I don't think I'll probably ever watch this again. Like it's not the worst movie I've ever seen. You know, I don't want to be like too hard on it. There are things that I do like about it. I think I fucking love Michael Clark Duncan and Steve Buscemi, even though they're in this movie for about 10 minutes. And I love the dystopian kind of future. This is a lot of people have compared this to Logan's Run. In fact, there was some movie I can't remember the name of it. It was written in like the 1970s. But they basically wound up suing Michael Bay and
Yeah,
DreamWorks over this movie. But they paid them, I think it was a 7-figure sum, like
yeah.
outside of court. Uh,
The movie was called the Clonus Horror, directed by
Thank you.
Robert S. Fiveson.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And I mean, and that's just kind of, that's kind of up in the air, especially with any kind of dystopian stories like this. A lot of them, I mean, I'm sure there's even movies that the what'd you say it was the Clonus what?
The Clonus Horror.
So yeah, the Clonus horror. I mean, I'm sure there's even movies that's borrowing from. So
Yeah.
it's kind of just like infinite regress. It's not the most original thing in the world, but I do like that concept of basically having an insurance policy. You know, if things were to start shutting down, and it also kind of reminds me of In Time with Justin Timberlake. That's another high concept kind of okay, cool. Like you literally like buying time is like buying minutes on a phone. Like that's crazy. So I think it's a good premise, but it suffers from Michael Bay directing it and kind of an okay story. I think as like a plot, the concept is great, but the plot, the way it folds out, is just kind of it's very typical. You know, it's a very action kind of horror, or not horror, Hollywood kind of action movie. You know, there's nothing really in there that super surprises you except for the concept. But all in all, I'd probably give it like a 6 out of 10, maybe like a 5.5. I didn't really enjoy it. I think it's one of the first movies that I've watched, and I was like, I'm kind of surprised Zoheb likes this. Like, honestly, I
Well,
was
you
like,
don't know that I like it yet.
oh, okay, well, fuck me, sorry.
Well, I mean, I just like because it was my suggestion, and I said I know it well, but
All right, okay, cool. Well, I tell you what, why don't you just fucking show me what's up then, asshole? No, I'm just kidding.
well, I do like this movie.
I figured. Who
I-
fucking suggests a movie they don't like?
Well, I mean, sometimes I suggest movies that like make for like best conversation, and I thought this was like somewhere in the middle. Makes for a good conversation, and also, um, is a movie that I like. This movie, I think I saw it at the right age, and I think age has a lot to do with it.
True.
I was 12 when this movie came out, and I remember renting this from Blockbuster. I didn't watch it at the movies because it's not really a movie that a 12-year-old kind of is like, Dad, let's go see the island, yeah. Like
Yeah.
it's not really one of those movies, but yeah, I remember renting this from Blockbuster, and I remember being like, this is fucking awesome. Like it was just so energetic. Like there was no boring shit. Like what a 12-year-old like pretty much looks for in their movies and shit like that. I'm generally, I guess, just going back to Michael Bay just for a little bit. I'm a bit more forgiving for his movies for some fucking reason. Like I really want to like them. I don't know why. I do not know why. Like I gave the last Transformers movie the benefit of the doubt, and I wanted to like it, but I ended up just fucking like despising it and like outright just like I can't deal with this shit. Um, so generally I am a little bit more forgiving for his like storytelling and shit because I do like his visuals, man. Like the guy frames shit and shoots shit a lot different than other directors, and like you can immediately tell that this is a Michael Bay movie. Like you can literally be like, oh, that looks like a Michael Bay movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that kind of trademark. I love directors who have that like a sort of unique trademark to their own sort of style. Again, like J.J. Abrams, again like Tarantino, Nolan, whatever. Like it's a thing, and I'm not. Unfortunately, I just mentioned Nolan's name in the same sentence as Michael Bay, but
Fuck
um,
you.
I know. This movie though, I still like it. I find it really enjoyable to watch. It's got one of the best action sequences I've seen in any movie ever. And look, we'll talk about that when we get to it. I can hear you seething over there.
I was going to say,
Colin,
that
like,
is a
just fucking-
bold statement, my friend.
Like, every time-
if you could hear how high my eyebrows raised up, I was like,
I can, like every time it's on TV, I'm like, I flip back to it and I'm like, is this action scene happening yet? Is this action scene happening yet? Like, I don't know. Like the guy just does action scenes so fucking well. Like I don't know. But let's like this movie. I really love the story of it. I'd never seen a story like this done like this, or I didn't know what it was about. Obviously, when I first saw it, when you find out they're clones and the whole sort of reason for being is to be harvested, like it's shallow now when you watch it as an adult, but like as a kid, man, when you're seeing this, I was like, oh wow, that's fucking unique. Like you know what I mean? Like, and I like in science fiction, man. It's a science fiction trope, but I like the whole thing where you see the perspective of the story from an outsider, and they slowly figure out who they are, and it's not exactly who they think they are. Like the truth is not what they think.
mm-hmm.
I love that, man. Some of the best parts of this movie is Lincoln and Jordan pretty much kind of like slowly discovering that, oh shit, we're not who we think we are. And I love that. Like Westworld's doing that shit so well, and a lot of this reminded me of Westworld and vice versa and shit. But like, I mean, it's not copying. It's more of a science fiction thing. Like it's just the thing, right? And I think that's one of the best parts of this movie. I absolutely agree with you. The performances are terrible. They're not great at all. This is the first time I saw Scarlett Johansson. This is the first time I got a boner to her.
Oh, she's absolutely like that's what's so funny is like I was watching this with my girlfriend and her sister, and they were just like, "Oh, Ewan McGregor's cute," and I was like, "Yeah," and of course there's Scarlett Johansson. You know, it's like of course, you know, they're not going to put someone in there like fucking Eric Stoltz or something like that. Like,
I had seen Ewan McGregor in the prequels, obviously before this, so I was like, "Oh, Obi-Wan's in this movie."
mm-hmm.
But yeah, Scarlett Johansson I'd never seen before, so I was like, wow, I'm in love. But other than that, man, like there really isn't that much to this movie. It's very, I mean, once you go past the clones and once you go past the harvesting of organs, it's kind of shallow. And that comes down to Bay's directing, I think. Like his sole focus in all of his movies basically is action. And look, that's his strength, I think, as a director. I mean, if you're a director and you know what your strength is, then that's great for your career. Like it's probably better for you to focus on your strengths. But dude, we haven't even talked about Sean Bean. Like Sean Bean can play a villain so fucking well, man. Like this is obviously it's not an amazing sort of villain. It's not a really well written villain, but Sean Bean just elevates the terrible writing of his character so well. Like he's just a cool presence, and he's British. Like everyone likes a British fucking villain.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's Sean Bean. It's like he's like you were talking about someone playing up to their strengths. Like this guy's been a villain in so many things now. I mean, that's got to be like just waking up, and putting his shoes on now. It's like, yep, that's pretty easy to me now.
I'm a bad guy. All right, cool, no worries. But yeah, man. I really dig this movie. You gave it a 5 or a 6. I'd probably give it a 7 or a 7.5, somewhere around there. it is rewatchable for me for some fucking reason. Maybe it's the visual sort of check your head in at the door. I love my heavy drama movies. Like seriously, last week we covered Spotlight. Like that's
Mm.
about as heavy as you can get. But I also love watching movies like this where you can just kind of like cleanse the palate a little bit. Just be like, okay, I don't feel like thinking today, and I don't want to be emotionally fucking drained by the end of a movie.
Hmm.
Sometimes you just want to watch a movie just to be fucking entertained. And this absolutely falls into that category. Same with that first Transformers. Same with Bad Boys. Like you just want to be sometimes entertained, and I think Michael Bay definitely brings that to the table really well. But man, with that being said, you want to jump into this bitch?
Yeah, let's fucking do it.
Fucking awesome. All right. So we start off with this horrific dream.
Oh yeah.
uh, you're special. You have a very special purpose in life. You've been chosen. The island awaits you. What do you what do you think about this opening, man?
I like the opening of it, and I like the beginning because I think they do a lot of like reverse shots with it. That's one
Yeah.
thing I do like about it. I am a sucker for like just blatant reverse shots, and there's times where people try to use them in lieu of something else, to show somebody catching something in reverse, like the kid in the Road Warrior who throws the boomerang. When it comes back to him, it's shot in reverse, and it's cool to do stuff like that. But I can tell I'm like, oh, it's just kind of a reverse shot. But when it's used kind of like aesthetically, like the way it is used at the beginning of this, I do like that a lot. It's because it's a dream. It's not supposed to make kind of sense. It's supposed to be kind of like wishy-washy. I think it adds a cool effect to that.
Yeah, no, it does, man. Like and like Bay immediately establishes the color palette right here. It's all bright, it's beautiful. Like that's another thing about Bay's movies. They're very clean. Like you
Mhm.
know what I mean? Like they're very I don't know what
I'd eat off that floor.
yeah, fucking look, just fucking put some food down there and I'll just eat it straight from the fucking floor. But yeah, like they're very clean and like they're very, I guess, filtered is the word, right? Like they don't feel authentic is the word.
Like, it's kind of even in like their jumpsuits. Like, I love the way their jumpsuits look. They look really cool, but
Mm.
everything looks like it's been furnished by Apple. Everything looks very like crisp and like it's like that water's probably the crispest water you've ever drank. Or like the air there, everything seems so almost like brand new. It's just like sleek and shiny, and I do like that. He has like a certain kind of use with especially fluorescent lighting, and this like lighting, this like blue kind of lighting. We see it a lot in this towards the end, and a shit ton in Armageddon. But I know what you mean, though,
Oh
that kind
yeah.
of like sleek kind of look.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like it's a visual style, and look, I guess it works for him. But we kind of like get this. I when I first saw this, man, I was like intrigued. I was like, what is this complex? What are they doing? Why are they all in jumpsuits? Why are they being told what they can eat? Why are they like why are their guards telling them about their fucking behavior? What is the island like when they're going down the elevator and you see Michael Clark Duncan's character being like, "I've been chosen for the island" and things like that. By the way, Michael Clark Duncan, rest in peace, man. I
Oh
fucking
yeah,
miss you.
that's the first thing we were watching. We are like, oh yeah, he died. And it's like, fuck, man, way
Yeah,
too
man.
soon, way too soon.
Oh, totally. But this guy Gandu 3 Echo, he's upset about how Michael Clark Duncan's characters won the lottery. Um, and basically, well, we can talk about the island because we obviously know what it is. I like this whole idea of like these clones have nothing to look forward to but going to the island and the devastation of like finding out that island is basically a surgical procedure. Like,
Yeah.
dude, but when I found that out, I was like, oh, that's kind of heavy. um, yeah, like, what did you think about that whole sort of perspective of it?
Well, I love that. I mean, I don't want to get too far ahead, but the scene where you really kind of figure that out is when you see Michael Clark Duncan with, I mean, his chest is like cut
Oh yeah,
open. But just him like, chugging down the hallways and puts that guy through the plate glass. And I was like, God damn, and like something is definitely fucking up. And I like, unfortunately, I already knew what this movie was about. I think before I
yeah.
watched it.
When I asked you, I'm like, don't. don't read anything about it or don't do anything like that, you're like, oh, okay, well, I know it's about clones, and I'm like, fuck's sake.
Yeah, dude, it's like I have a like because it's I mean it's been fucking 14 years since this movie came out. So it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess I can't really. Hey, don't spoil that very forgettable Michael Bay movie from '04 for me.
Yeah, I guess it's just one of those things. But what do you think about this kind of like this complex? And like, did you like the first time you saw? Oh, well, I guess you already knew they were clones. But I mean, like, if you come at it from the angle that I did when I watched this as a kid, like all this is kind of like intriguing and fascinating, man. Like the way they're all dressed like the same, and the way they're being kind of like really regulated. Um, it's just it's weird. It's a weird thing, but it just pulls you in. What do you think about this?
It reminded me a lot of, like I said, Logan's Run. The beginning of this too, they have some kind of, it's basically talking to him about like his wellness. You know, he's been having erratic sleep. He's going to the Tranquility Center for evaluation and blah blah. That reminds me a lot of the book Blade Runner. Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? They have like machines like that to just kind of read, you know, what's wrong with you, and oh, you're low on melatonin today, blah blah blah, and they inject you with things that basically balance out your chemicals. And it reminds me of a really, 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 really good book called The Giver by Lois Lowry. If you've never read that, I don't care if it's young adult fiction, read that fucking book, because The Giver is one of the best books I've ever read in my life. It's extremely good. It's very, very reminiscent of this movie, in a way that it's dystopian. People aren't allowed to, actually like have sex or create, blah, blah, blah. And it reminds me a lot, and it's nice because one thing I do like about this movie is I've watched a lot of post-apocalyptic stuff, especially lately. But seeing something that's more dystopian than post-apocalyptic is actually kind of refreshing. I did like seeing that a lot. But like I said, this is a great premise, and even with knowing what the premise was, I didn't know how far it went. Like with people having kids and stuff like that. Like I didn't know exactly how far it went. You know, you just assume that it's people being cloned, and I didn't really even know that they were harvesting organs. I just assumed they were maybe clones for. I mean, hell, it could have been people in the government that they need to be replaced or whatever. I didn't really know exactly what they were for, so it was kind of interesting, to see that these people who, this is the whole lives for these clones, and there's these people on the outside, on the outside world who are just living like normal day-to-day life, and these people are so insignificant to them. They're just kind of like, oh, okay, whatever. That's just like my backup plan if something happens to me. That was crazy. That did kind of blow my mind, and I did like that aspect about it. Again, love the concept, but just not much else.
So you do like the movie, haha.
Yeah, I've twisted his nipples around on it.
By the way, The Giver was made into a movie 4 years ago, starring Jeff Bridges and Meryl Streep. Did you ever watch it? I haven't seen it, but
I did not. I just don't. Some things are left sacred, man, and I just I'm weary just because there's actually a really great book series called Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. And they are fucking phenomenal. I'll send you some pictures of them later, but they were almost banned here in the U.S. for kids. But Benicio del Toro, or no, Guillermo del Toro is producing it or directing it or something. So I'm like, please don't fuck this up, dude.
Yeah. I'll put the photos next to my nude photos of you.
Oh, okay, excellent, good. So I can cry and masturbate.
That's awesome.
Anyway,
we cut this. I'm gonna move through this a little quickly, just because it's setting up this sort of environment where it's pretty much all the same shit. Like it's just kind of letting you know that this is a weird existence that these guys live. It's very oppressed. They can't touch each other. I mean, they get told what they have to eat based on their nutritional requirements. So I mean, there's really not that much here. And look, I feel like that's going to be like this for the most of the movie, because I mean, like I said, there's really not much to this movie besides besides the harvesting organs and like being the clone and shit like that. It's not that deep, is what I'm trying to say.
Right. I think it's cool that we get shown kind of shown kind of some of the rules, with like if you act out, there's going to be people right there. You're shown what you're going to eat. And this is, I don't know, the thing with Michael Clark Duncan in the elevator, that ad almost reminded me of like Fifth Element. Like there's something about it. And this movie is, I can't say this enough, this movie does not remind me of Fifth Element, but there's something about in that shot that reminded me of that.
It did, actually. I get what you mean, yeah.
Yeah, but I think they do a great job of setting stuff up. Pregnant women, if they have kids, they get to go to the island and the kid comes with them. And also setting up the food. We set up, there's proximity, alerts and stuff like that. And it's a good scene to kind of show the setup between McGregor and Johansson, because it's kind of interesting to see their
interplay.
Yeah, they're like, to see their dynamic is cool. It's a little two dimensional, but I like showing it right away. That they're friends, and they I was like, oh, okay, cool. This is an ease of transition into this. I liked it.
See, but is it two dimensional by design, or is it two dimensional from the script? Because it could be two dimensional because they're both supposed to be dumbasses, right?
Right. I think that. Well, I don't know, because you can take kids, who are in this kind of, you can take younger actors, take Finn Wolfhard and Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things, and how well they play that of these two, these are significantly older kids than that. They're supposed to be like 15 or something like that. So I think you can, they play it just a little too dumb. And I don't know if it's something in the, it doesn't seem like it's something in the script. It seems like something way more in the performances, but I could be completely wrong. I didn't fucking go to the International Movie Screen Database of this and pull it up. But I don't know, and it could just be the direction of things. I'm not quite sure, but I wouldn't say by design, but I would say by performance mostly.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. I also like we see them kind of being educated, but kind of like a basic education, how they're reading the children's book and all together. It's fucking weird, but at the same time, at this point in the movie, you're just like, what the fuck is happening in this movie?
Mm-hmm.
But then we meet Sean Bean, the lovely, lovely Sean Bean.
Yeah.
And basically he just kind of questions him, right, about his friendship with Jordan, because he's trying to smash her.
No, yeah, you can't blame him.
No, yeah, he's trying to get up all in that. But then we learn about this boat. This weird dream that he's having. This is very Westworld to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought this was interesting. This is very Blade Runner to me, like having memories of something from before that don't really exist. I'm glad we got two different kind of pulls from sci-fi from that as well, because it just shows you how diverse this kind of idea is and how much it's been used. Despite the fact that I don't like this movie, it plays on things that have been done 1,000 times by 1,000 other things.
Well, yeah, in Westworld, it is a little different because they're robots and they have their memory wiped at the end of each day, but then they kind of have remnants of these memories, and they similarly, because in this scene he's like, "What is tofu?" What he starts asking questions, and that's what they do in Westworld, because once they start asking questions, then they're going to question the whole nature of the reality, and then they're just going to be they're going to go off on this massive tangent and eventually discover who they are. And I love that I think being introduced to that concept in this movie at such a young age, it kind of puts an emphasis as to why I find that fascinating now. Because it's just a cool concept, man, and it's really only something you can tell in science fiction as well. It's very unique to science fiction.
Mm-hmm. Very existential, yeah.
Yeah. But how does this end, basically? It's kind of he injects these sort of little nanites into him.
God, yeah, through his fucking eye, man. Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, that was cringy,
this
man.
This was brutal.
There's something that Bay does well that it works well for this shot. But one thing I don't like is his shots are way too close up on the actors all the time. And I cannot stand the way that he shoots things. But when it's good, like when you're injecting something into someone's eye and you want your audience to fucking, like flex their sphincters and fucking tense up.
Squeamish, yeah.
Right, yeah, that's totally what did it for me. I'm not even one of those people that's freaked out by eye stuff. I'm actually more freaked out by the organ stuff. So when they're talking about taking organs out of people, like, again, good premise.
Yeah.
It kind of like got me. But this definitely, I was like, fuck, man. It was a good use of that, of getting right close up on it. And him being like, oh, it's painless. No, they hurt. No, they don't. Yeah, no, they do.
Yeah, you'll feel it when you piss.
Oh, yeah. God.
Sean Bean is so good. Basically, they're at work. They go to work, and this is like, Lincoln's like, what the fuck is this? What are these tubes? What happens here? This is a boring job. He's talking to this guy named Jones 3 Echo, and then we kind of like look over and find this can't get right.
Oh, yeah, the survivor.
Yeah, the Seven Foxtrot is his name, but they call him a new arrival, and he's a survivor and shit like that. And more survivors are being found. So obviously this is a newly created clone, and it's just like, this all fascinated me when I was a kid, man. I fucking loved all this shit. Like, maybe it's just me being a kid.
Yeah, yeah. For a second there, I kind of got lost for a second. And I forgot that this quote unquote survivors are just new people that they say that they found. That kind of lost me for a second. Again, very forgettable movie. I'm already starting to forget it. But I do like that because they're extremely childlike. And I love the guy going to fuck with him, and he like flicks him in the ear. The guy's like, "Go, like get away from me!" Like literally treating them like children.
Yeah, man. But basically, a supervisor gives Lincoln a tri-key to retrieve a contamination kit, blah blah. And Lincoln heads down what's normally, I guess, a restricted area and meets James McCord, or Mac. It's played by Steve Buscemi. Hey guys, how you going?
What is up? What is up, fellow young people?
No, fucking Garland Green. You haven't seen Con Air, have you?
No, fuck it.
You're not gonna get that.
God, I don't like the movie Billy Madison with Adam Sandler. I just don't like that movie. I'm a water boy and Happy Gilmore, man. I fucking love those.
Oh my god, I'm more of a Billy Madison fan than Waterboy, but I love all three of those.
Dude, I just missed it. I never watched it as a kid. I didn't watch it till I was like 20. I don't know why, but yeah, Steve Buscemi is absolutely so. He's one of the funniest parts of Billy Madison to me. I'm like, oh my god, just him getting up and scratching Billy Madison's name off the list and putting the lipstick on. I was like, oh my god. But Buscemi's awesome,
I'd
man.
like to apologize to you. Oh no, that's alright, man. No worries. Yeah, fucking scratches his name off the kill list.
Yeah, dude. I was like, holy shit. But Buscemi's awesome, man. Little known thing, he was a firefighter, and when 9/11 happened, he fucking went out, strapped up, and went to the fucking site on a fucking fire truck. I was like, holy shit.
Awesome.
Yeah, he seems like a pretty nice guy. I just read a little bit about him today. He got in a bar fight with Vince Vaughn.
So that's what fucked up his teeth.
Right, yeah. But I guess he was at a bar with Vince Vaughn, got into a bar fight or something, and somebody slashed him in the face with a broken beer bottle. I was like, holy fuck. Like, this was in the last, 10 years. I was like, holy fuck, I never heard about that. But I was like, holy shit, this guy's had a life, So, it's fucking Steve Buscemi. He's like, he's an underrated actor, too, man. He really is. And Fargo, Reservoir Dogs.
He shines in everything, man.
He's great.
Especially Reservoir Dogs, right? Like, when he fucking unloads on those cops.
Oh, dude, that's one of my favorite parts of that movie. It's great. Just no hesitation. Good, anyways, back to this movie.
Back to this pile of shit.
According to me.
According to you, a nice smelling pile of shit for me, but whatever. McCord's needed in an area called Product Extraction, and he lets 6 Echo stay in the workstation, which I find unbelievable. But 6 Echo finds a butterfly. Life. He finds life. And this gets the wheels turning. Like, this is... I hate to keep comparing it to Westworld, but it's the only thing that I can really pull right now because it's so similar, and I've just watched it recently. But one of the robots finds a photo, and in the photo you see Times Square, and obviously Times Square wasn't around during the Western times, so that kind of like sends them through a loop. And this is very similar to that, like just finding life. where you're told that, hey, fucking there's nothing out there. Like, it's
right,
cool.
yeah. I like that. I like him, like, and especially how he uses it later. I don't want to skip ahead or anything, but that's really actually kind of smart to like track it later on. It's like, that's cool, man. I like that. That's actually pretty neat.
But Lincoln Six Echo goes back to his quarters and places the butterfly into a matchbox. And then what else happens? They do this little hologram fight. This weird,
I was like, oh, that'd be kind of cool. Like, I mean, it'd be
like a VR kind of situation, right?
Yeah, only acceptable time. I guess it's cool to beat the shit out of a woman. I was like, that's interesting. And I love the old school Xbox logo. I was like, oh, dude. I was like, that's fucking
threw me for a loop. I was like, okay, so this is one of those futures where they don't know what's like. They don't even account for Xbox 360 or any future like Xboxes that are going to come out. They're just like, okay, so the Xbox is always going to be the fucking same for like the next 50 years. So let's throw this in there.
Yeah, right.
Oh, Jesus Christ. But basically, Jordan asks Lincoln how he feels, and he says he feels fine, but Jordan says that his face always gives him away when he lies, which comes back later. Mm-hmm. His mouth smiles, but his eyes don't. It's shallow, but it's okay. It works for now. It works in the movie. It's fucking bae. And basically, Lincoln tells Jordan about the fucking Jesus Christ. Why am I on the butterfly? Why am I can't talk today. I can't talk anytime, man. Something that should have gone extinct with the pathogen, and yet it came into the compound through a ventilation shaft without setting off any sensors. I'm kind of gonna just, I guess, not fast forward, but kind of like move forward to the part where Lincoln goes exploring, because nothing really else happens here. Like, what is there anything else that's really noteworthy?
Well, I think the only thing is that before or after they choose Johansson for the lottery. I can't remember that.
No, it's before.
Okay, cool.
No, sorry. They choose Jordan for the lottery before he goes exploring.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, because that was the only thing I think. Yeah, basically she gets chosen for the lottery. But there is actually one line that I really do like whenever she gets announced and they get close and he's got his hand on her elbow. That's the farthest he's ever gone, like touching another human being probably. But just the whole
came.
Yeah, exactly. But I actually do like when she's like, good thing. He's like, you're right. Do things good happen, and good things do happen. He pulls her in, and he says, "I wish I could have gotten to know you better." I'm like, oh man, that was good. Like I
like it. Yeah.
I actually did like it. I was like, I'm glad he wasn't like, oh, I'll miss you, or blah blah blah. It was like, it was something that actually, like, I mean, that's just really, it was really heartfelt. I was like, wow, that was 100% honest. Like I felt that. I was like, dude, I mean, he's just, that's exactly how that character feels. I did really like that line a lot, because that's not something you hear in a lot of like the romantic aspects of these sci-fi movies or whatever. Like, and it's great. It's just a flat out expression of that, because he doesn't have the time to sit here and wax poetic about how much, he'll miss her and blah, blah, blah. He just kind of has to get this out. I like that a lot.
It's a touching moment for sure. Literally touching.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I'm just going to go fucking throw myself off a bridge.
Yeah, thank you.
But basically, yeah, so after that, Lincoln sneaks through the compound and he finds himself in this can you imagine what he must be thinking? Like, just kind of like pushing this sort of like tile or whatever it is up and seeing this sort of like white entire, like this thing that you've never seen before. You can't even like really comprehend it. You don't know what's going on. He finds a utility closet and puts on a medical lab coat. And he walks through the medical center hallways, blah blah. And he finds he arrives at a window, and he finds Lima 1 Alpha, who's just finished, delivering a baby. and it's a beautiful moment, but obviously that goes to shit really quickly.
Yeah, right. Like, I wasn't expecting that. I knew again the harvesting organs things, but I wasn't expecting them to kill the mom. I was like, oh, okay, so obviously they need her for like breeding or whatever. And then I was like, oh shit, no, they don't need her at all. Never mind.
Yeah, man. The doctor injects something into the drip, and the nurses close straps, and it's pretty sad. I was like, this took a fucking turn.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Lincoln sneaks inside and pokes. I love the poking of the face. Because he doesn't know that she's been killed. He just pokes her in the face.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I was like, wait a minute, when did he? I just as soon as you said poking face, I just pictured you and McGregor just like boink, poking someone in the eye, and I was like, when did that happen?
No, I like it, man, because it just shows this like disconnect. Like he's got no idea what happened to this person. He's probably never seen anyone who died ever.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not really aware of the concept, and then he just like pokes her in the face. Like I love that. I like that. I really, it's awesome. But then you see the doctors give the baby to the clients, and like I kind of wish that you didn't see that. Like I'd rather assume that that's what happened than being told, but I guess that's Bay for you.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, no, I guess they kind of want to give you something. I mean, you're 40 minutes into this movie, and you're like, all right, what the fuck is going on here? I guess it's some kind of morsel of like, wait, is that the same woman that blah, blah, blah? Like, I didn't mind it so much because they kind of hang on her a little bit too long, but had it just been like a quick shot, you'd be like, wait, that's the woman that just had the baby. Like, I think that would have been a lot better because it's just enough to keep you be like, okay, well, now I can sit here and keep watching this. We're at the 40-minute mark and I still don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, okay, I get you. Fine.
But dude, the shit with Michael Clark Duncan is that fucked me up way more.
Oh wait, are you gonna skip straight past the racism?
Oh God, yeah, like the woman
receptionist. I thought that was him, girl. That chick's from Community, and I'm just like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, standard fucking Bay racism. But then yeah, let's just kind of talk about the heartbreaking scene of Michael Clark Duncan. Clark Duncan is so good, dude. Like, you can give this movie shit for being like shallow, but there are moments like this where the actors absolutely sell their parts. And Michael Clark Duncan, man, the way he kind of like, he breaks away from him and he's just fucking running down the hall. He's so like, what the fuck? I'm supposed to be at the island, but instead they're carving me open. Like, what the fuck is happening?
Right,
like, he's so good.
I'm trying to think of the right word to say it. It's kind of like it almost reminded me of the scene in Shawshank Redemption when the captain is beating Boggs Diamond to death, the rapist from that's been attacking Andy. When they drag him back, just that, like, something about those scenes always get me. Someone just screaming no and being dragged back into somewhere. Like more so, if you see that in a horror movie, it doesn't really do anything for me. But if it's a drama, it's always way more powerful to me. And especially I wouldn't call this necessarily a drama, but that's probably one of the more curdling spots for me where I'm like, oh man, that was kind of hard to that's not hard to watch, but it is just like, Jesus Christ, like that's pretty fucking dark, man. I mean, being dragged off, I don't want to die, I want to live, I want to go to the island, like, especially knowing what you think is going to happen, and then it winds up being the actually polar opposite. You wake up to them cutting you open, like, holy fuck, I'd probably vomit, man. I can't
heavy, man. Ugh. And I think, look, what absolutely sells this moment is Clark. There's nothing else. It's Michael Clark Duncan's performance. Like, right. It's literally just his sheer panic. It's so well done, man. He did such a great job in such little screen time. And I fucking love this guy, man. I really miss him.
And shooting him in the fucking legs with those hooks. It's like, ugh, like,
those guns, man. Oh, but like, I mean, that's Bay kind of thing. Like, that's like it's a little over the top, but I like it. Like, yeah, man, it's cool. It's cool. The small little narrow barbed harpoons, and then yeah, it's fucked up. But yeah, I want to go to the island, and obviously Lincoln is like horrified. He's just like, what the fuck? But he interacts with the guard, right?
Yeah, the guard, the guard mistakes him for like a nurse or like an RN or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Lincoln races back, and you know, guards at the security station are watching a video replay of the Starkweather of the escape attempt. Basically, they're all just laughing like fucking goons that they are. You know, Bay because they have to be one dimensional. And Merrick arrives. And he questions the guards about the incident. He finds a report about the escape attempt, very serious matter. It's no laughing matter to him. And then he's like, "Who is that?" And then they're like, "No, that's just an RN." And then they zoom in, and they're like, "Wait." I love that. I love the realization that hold up.
Yeah, right. Like I mean, especially. To them, it's nothing. They don't know who the fuck he is, you know. But literally, we saw these people just have a conversation like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, man. He's like, a product is on the loose. A product is on the loose.
Yeah.
Just the terms. I love the terms. Like, it's good, man. It's good shit. But this is where shit escalates, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we start with Jordan's sort of day. This is her day, kind of like, you know, letting her know that this is like the day for her island departure. And Lincoln comes fucking storming to her quarters and basically just kind of gives it the lowdown. I love this sort of chase. Like the Bay, it's frantic. It's very frantic, but he films this so well. It's the chaos of it. I just dig it, man. Like it's It's very like it's shot like someone who has ADHD, but but I like it. I like it. What do you think about this escape?
It's okay. You know, the best part about it is when they hit the dead end and he just swings that pipe around into the guy's face. Oof. I fucking did dig that. And seeing him with a weapon, you know, he doesn't even get one swing in because he's never done it before. You know, the guy fucking he's just like a pushover. He pushes straight through him. I hate Johansson. You know, no, Lincoln. I was like, dude, oh my god. Like, I get it. You have the mentality of like a 15-year-old girl, but it's Jesus Christ, man. Like, I knew some 15-year-old girls when I was 15 that would go in there and fucking throw a punch. Like, like, come on, man. But you know, but that's just because I'm from the South. But it's like,
well, before that happens, they run into kind of like that massive sort of hangar, and they see like these newly formed clones. I guess they're just being imprinted like memories. That was wild, man.
Yeah, I think that's afterwards. I think that's after they get out of it. Yeah, I think it's after they get out of that dead end. But yeah, no, just them seeing it, very Matrix, like very Matrix to me. Which I know first Matrix came out like 99, 2000. And this is another movie that I think kind of borrows heavily from very Matrix-y kind of stuff. Which, I mean, because this was just kind of something that was in. I feel like now that we brought up the Matrix, it feels like Michael Bay's answer for the Matrix. It seems it's just almost like a mosaic of a lot of different dystopian stuff. You know, Blade Runner, The Giver, you know, so many different things. It just seems kind of like a collage of that, which, you know, and it's not supposed to be anything special. Like, I get that. But it kind of was something that's that high concept. You know, I think it deserves to. When you're already thinking that much, it's a movie that's kind of hard to turn your brain off. You know, it's like when this is something that's that high concept of a movie that kind of is existential and makes you think in that way. I think it's very hard to turn your brain off. And there's some flat out scenes, especially when they're running through, you know, we see all these people, like you said, being imprinted with these memories. There's some scenes that flat out look like fucking the end of Blade Runner. I mean, just with the rain coming down, there's this kind of like light off in the distance coming behind them. Like, they look very Rutger Hauer, Roy Batty, Blade Runner to me, especially when they're crouched down and they're looking around. And it's great. It looks really, really well done. Why is it raining in there? Like, why is there
I thought that too.
Why is there water coming down on like what do they say, $200 million worth of product? Why is like I was like, what in the figgity fuck? But like I do like this part of it because we learn just a little bit more. We're seeing that, you know, again, this is just like replicants with memories. They're just kind of being imprinted with them. They're not really, they're not really something that's happened to you. But I like the way this scene looks, but I don't like the way it makes me feel. I'm like, why is all of this happening right now? That's the best I can describe it, honestly. I don't really care for it any other way but visually.
Yeah, and that's a lot of this movie, right? Like you only care for this movie really visually, and I'm maybe I'm just better than maybe I'm just better than most people at kind of like just really kind of like forgetting shit. Like I'm very selective. Like you'll find me in our review for Mile 22. I was just like, I hate this movie. It just reminded me of this and this and this, and it was just bullshit. Whereas like this, I'm just like I'm enjoying this escape. Like you're not kind of like being smashed too heavily in the head by philosophy. It does know what it is. It does know that it's an action movie, so it doesn't really lean too much on like what it means to be a clone and what it means to be human, like Westworld does. So it is very shallow once you kind of get past that again, like I mentioned at the top of the episode. But I mean, for me, it's just I enjoyed all this, man. Like I was really on board. I don't know.
I'm glad one of us did.
Maybe I'm retarded. but I love this. I love when they break the surface. Dude, some of the helicopter shots here are absolutely fantastic. The music from Steve Jablonsky is outstanding. Yeah, it's all you know, it's all knee deep. Like it's not really that deep, but it's just it's good, man. I like it. I dig it. And you find out that, you know, that they're able to survive out here. But then we kind of break. We meet. I can never pronounce this guy's name. Jimun Honsu. He's from Blood Diamond.
Oh yeah,
He's a fantastic actor. He's from Guardians of the Galaxy. He's going to be in Captain Marvel. He's a great actor, man. I love this guy. But basically, Merrick's kind of explaining to him what these are, what the agnets are. And I love like the kind of like incubation shots of them, like them kind of being formed inside their little water pods, like the organs and shit. What do you think about that?
I like it because it's I'm trying to think the right way to say this. It doesn't feel like exposition. It doesn't feel like them beating us over the head with stuff and having to cram it down our throats. I think it's mainly because, okay, so have you ever seen a movie called Waiting? Got Ryan Reynolds, Anna Faris. It's about working.
Oh no, I haven't. I want to, but it's on Netflix, but I just haven't been able to get around to it.
It is pretty damn funny, especially if you've ever worked in the service industry.
I have.
Okay, excellent. It's really funny because the whole movie kind of starts with this guy and it's his first day training. And it's like, oh, okay, that's cool. So this movie kind of does a thing where we're almost like this... we're almost like this character getting brought in because we don't really know what's going on and things are gonna have to kind of be explained to us. Now we understand, now that things have been revealed and we get it that these people are clones, we don't really know exactly 100% for. And, but it's nice because we kind of step into this character's shoes because we have a lot of questions as well, and there's things that he has to know to get his job done,
absolutely.
And he even says, basically, I don't say anything that my clients don't want me to say. But I, and I especially like this. It reminded me kind of RoboCop, them going to Clarence Bodiger and being like, "Hey, yes. we need you to go take this guy out," kind of thing. That's mainly what it reminded me of.
Yeah, another thing that I really liked is they kind of besides that, like besides the hey, I don't really know much about the subject matter, they immediately come off as competent. Like you can tell that these guys are kind of good at their jobs. Like I'm pretty sure you find out that Laurent is a former GIGN operative, that's special forces in France, and his men are all former U.S. Navy SEALs or Delta Force. So you know that these guys are capable of doing this job, and I think they carry themselves really really well. But yeah, man. Basically, from here, the movie kind of becomes a bit more of a cat and mouse sort of movie. Like we're on the run and we're being chased. Nothing too deep.
But I especially I do like when Sean Bean's character is talking to I will butcher this guy's name. Albert Laurent is the character's name. But when basically when he was talking to him, he just asked him, are they on foot? Where are they going? And he immediately tells the guy, 1.2 miles going this way. We'll get identification and blah blah. I was like, holy shit! Like, you show that this guy is fucking efficient. Like right off the bat, he's okay, so we're good. Okay, let's start right now. Bam, like not like we need to get back to our compound and get our weapons, blah blah. Like no, we're just gonna jump right into it right here, right now, because time is the most important thing. It's only been 4 hours and they're on foot, so they can't be that far.
Mm-hmm. No, 100%, man. Like that's fucking great observation. You're on fire today, my friend.
Oh, thank you very much. It's probably the coffee that I'm drinking right now.
probably the coffee for that that you're drinking, and your fucking hate for this movie is fueled.
Oh, dude, yeah, hate will keep you going on some shit. Yeah, it really will. Like, if somebody gives you a soapbox to talk about something you don't like, and it's like, okay, down, boy, down.
My opinion matters, and yours doesn't.
Right? Yeah. Here's where you're wrong, and why.
Oh, Jesus Christ. But basically, they get to these ruins, and Jordan wonders that, hey, maybe we are contaminated, and they find this rattlesnake. Just a quick, like a nice little way to deal with their worries, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the curiosity. They play it well. They do play it a little too dumb. Like, you're right.
Yeah, they're very. I mean, I don't like. I again look at like Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things, almost identical kind of characters. We have people who are locked up in a facility. They're kind of seeing the outside world for the first time. Not exactly the same, but very, very same. And, just the way that she plays that with this kind of like wide-eyed wonderment, but also at the same time, I mean, she's seen some shit kind of thing, which makes her character a little bit darker than these people. These people haven't, they've never really felt pain or a lot of the things that, we felt or lost or had people they love die. They've never really experienced a lot of those things. So they're more emotionally immature, but at the same time, they play it too intellectually immature. Like there's just certain things, like especially especially with the fact that, like, I get there's things that you haven't seen in the outside world, but you've done holograms. You fight people in these holograms. Like, you've got to have some kind of combat experience or something. Maybe like you there's something about the real world that a little bit about, even if it's not the world outside. You have some kind of wits about you, but I don't get that from them. I feel like I should, but I don't.
Yeah, I do tend to agree with you sometimes with that. They do they do come off as a little fucking retarded. Shut up.
This is me in the back under a really dark, like, dank light, just smoking a cigar. It's like
you're wearing the cloak with the hood that the Emperor wears. But basically, we get these. This is Michael Bay to a T. We get these like shots of like these helicopters flying through the desert. Like, it's very Michael Bay.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks great. I mean, I'm sorry, it looks fucking fantastic.
It looks like fucking Australia. The first thing I thought when I saw him pop out, I was like, hey, Mad Max, all right. Like, I looked around and I was like, wow, that's a lot of red dirt, man.
No, mate, that's all fucking California.
Oh, well, fuck them.
All Cali. Were you about to say something?
No. Just that I love. I don't want to get too far ahead. I didn't know where you're going, but this bartender is fucking hilarious. I love this actor. He's great.
Well, we're here right now. So this is the Aces and Spades. Basically, Lincoln knew that he recognized it because McCord gave him this sort of matchbook, and on the back of the matchbook it says Aces and Spades. Immediately, as we get inside the Aces of Spades, we see a dancer with big old titties. That's Bay for you.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Tell me more about this bartender.
I mean, this guy, I'm trying to pull up exactly who he is because he's been in a lot of shit. He's one of those guys that. It's kind of like William Fichtner, the actors who, William Fichtner. If just for those who don't know, he's actually the bank manager in The Dark Knight. He's also in Armageddon.
You and your friends are dead.
Yeah, right. He's in Armageddon, which is Michael Bay. He's also in Heat, which is actually why they picked him to be in The Dark Knight, which is really cool. But it's just one of those actors that's in everything. But you can, it's almost like you can never. You can never figure out what their name is. There's actually a really good. I've
got it if you want it.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So his name is. Oh my god, I had it. I'm an idiot. Oh, okay, here we go. Chris Ellis. So Chris Ellis. Just a quick note as well. He's like, and you would be who? He says the exact same thing in Transformers as well.
Mm-hmm.
A nice little connection, but yeah.
Yeah,
I like him.
I mean, the guy's been in, so much shit. I think he was in, which one is Tom Hanks? Apollo 11, right?
Yeah, he always plays kind of like a military guy and all that.
He's in a shit ton of stuff. But great actor. Just always in the background of shit. Like, oh yeah, I know that guy. But just him telling her, what do you want something to drink? Yes. Yeah, whiskey. Yes. All right. Straight, and she just looks straight up.
Straight up. Yeah.
And I was like, okay,
that's funny.
Yeah, that is funny. That's believable. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. They don't really know exactly what it is, but I did. I enjoyed that.
So Lincoln bumfucks what's his name in the bathroom.
Oh yeah, he's like, boys need a minute.
So this is Sector 15. I like it, man. Yeah, but you know who that is? Who walks in on them?
No, huh?
Fucking Cam from Modern Family, who plays the gay. The gay call. Yeah.
Oh, that I did not know that.
Yeah,
that's kind of ironic.
Eric Stone Street is his name.
Yeah, it's ironic.
Yeah, it is totally ironic, dude.
He walks in and it's just like, guys.
Yeah, man. But McCord's basically like, they'll be looking for you. If they find us, we're both gonna be dead. But it's a great moment when Stone Street walks in. But McCord basically takes him back to his place, and we meet his wife, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't really make that clear. I'm not 100% sure.
It's this whole sequence is, I mean, like it's exposition, but I do like their reactions, Jordan's and Lincoln's. Like McCord's like, you're copies of people out here in the world, basically just laying down the truth, right?
Yeah, and just flat out tells them that they're clones. I liked this scene up until the part where she starts talking about a memory that she has, and he interrupts her. It's like, oh, yeah, I already know about that memory. One of the other guys told me, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that feels like it's straight out of Blade Runner, when Rachel's talking.
Yeah, Westworld's got that as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much of this, like, I mean, it's hard to tell, really. It's kind of one of those who shot first kind of things, but ultimately, like, I was like, man, that's immediately what I thought of was that scene, because that's a really, really, like, infamous scene with
it's a thing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So we're doing this now. And there's actually some scenes earlier on too that I haven't read the book, George Orwell's 1984. But when I was watching this with Lindsay, she's like, there's literally a scene in this book where two people meet in the cafeteria and somebody separates them, like, hey, you guys are too close, back up. And it's like right at the beginning of the novel. I was like, damn, like that's kind of crazy. Like she caught that right away. And I was like, wow, that's kind of nuts. Like it's just one of the, like, again, this is one of the biggest things that's going to keep me from enjoying this movie the most is it's just such a big mosaic of just a lot of different stuff, slapped together. And I'm like, well, okay, I again, like, I can only turn my brain off so much to it, especially when it's a high concept, like, kind of thing. It's nice to get away from that at certain points. And the humor is good with this. Like, the humor actually is good because, I mean, they are being very naive. They haven't really experienced a lot of this world. So I do like that part of it. But it's just not enough to pull it back up,
Yeah, I mean, look, I guess it can be like a hodgepodge of different sort of science fiction movies, and like if you're coming at it from where you are right now, as someone older, then I can totally see where that comes from. Like, I mean, like why you wouldn't take to it, but I mean, again, for me, this was the first time I saw something like this, so I was just like, that's where I was like, kind of like, oh wow, like all this shit, like you don't know who you are, your memories are not even yours, like they're all engineered. Like I was all about that, man. Like especially the memory stuff. I was like, god damn, like that's fucking heavy. Like in the movies world, it's heavy. But I mean, I guess for us, because it's such a staple of science fiction now, it's not really that. It doesn't really mean much to us anymore. But yeah. But basically, McCord explains, their names. Lincoln and Jordan are the surnames of their sponsors. Echo means that Lincoln's been alive for 3 years, and Delta means that Jordan is 4. The 2 in Jordan's name is the regional code for New York, where Sarah Jordan lives, and 6 is a regional code for Los Angeles, where Lincoln's sponsor, Tom Lincoln, lives. Love it, man. I like this whole explanation, of of their sponsors, and basically how they're coded and like what their names mean and shit like that. But we cut back to Laurent in the helicopter, just fucking, I guess, military shit, just kind of like, can you track them and shit like that. It's not that important, is it?
Sorry, say it again.
Just with like Laurent like in his helicopter, just kind of like tracking him down. It's not really that important.
Yeah, no, again, a 2 hour and 12-minute long movie, you can definitely start cutting some shit out.
Yeah.
I also don't understand, like, I get it that, like, Steve Buscemi and Ewan McGregor are kind of buddies, but, like, I don't get that they're friends enough for Buscemi to go, this far. He ends up getting killed over.
I don't think so either.
And I was like,
I think Buscemi's character is a bit sympathetic to the clones.
I agree with a bit sympathetic, but like, here's some cash, here's my debit card, and it's so much, man. Especially when he knows, and that debit card ends up being their downfall as well later on. But so much of this, I was just like, what? Because I get it that he wants to help him out, but he has nothing to gain from this, like nothing. And he strikes me as a character who would be asking what he could gain from it. I didn't feel that at all. I just didn't get it from him. I was like, why is he doing this? I don't understand this.
You're not going to turn me. You're not going to turn me.
I get it. Like, I guess, they're friends. Like, I understand that. But literally, they're like, well, we're going to go find our sponsors and tell them. He goes, no, that's literally the worst idea anyone's ever had. He's like, don't do that. He's so adamant against it that I'm like, but I like McGregor's, he flat out tells him, he's like, we're not asking for your permission, we're asking for your help. Like, we're going to do this regardless, so, you might as well help us and aid us along in this. But I'm like, I don't know, I just find it very unbelievable. But we got to move the plot forward, so fuck it.
That's true. Yeah, fuck you, Colin. We're at the halfway mark right now, so let's take a break. What do you say?
Yeah, that sounds good, man.
Fucking badass. We'll be right back, guys.
Why do they lie, Mac? Why do they lie to us? Tell me.
To keep you from knowing what you are.
What we are?
What are we?
Oh, man, why do I gotta be the guy who tells the kids there's no Santa Claus? Okay, look, you're, well, you're not like me. You're not, human. You're human, but you're not real. You're not like a real person, like me. You're clones. You're copies of people out here in the world.
What?
Clones?
What?
Copies? What are you talking about?
Some hag trophy wife needs new skin for a facelift, or one of them gets sick and they need a new heart. They take it from you.
But I have a mother. I remember her.
Yeah, I know.
I grew up on a farm. I have a little dog, and I had a bike.
A bike, right. It was a pink flexi flyer with little tassels on the handlebars, and you rode it up the street to your grandmother's house. You ring the little bell, and she came out and served you cookies on a hot plate.
Yeah.
No, memory imprints. I seen him. A buddy of mine is a programmer at the Institute. He showed me. There's only like 12 stories. They change around little details, but they're all pretty much the same. The life you think you had before the contamination, it never happened.
Hey guys, welcome back. We are
Come on, don't
diving
look at me
right
like
back
that.
into the island, or otherwise known as Colin's Hell.
Colin's own personal island of torture.
Yeah. I love it. The reason I wanted to actually kind of take a break there was, number one, because it's actually kind of the halfway point of the movie, and number two, this kicks off this entire sort of 25-minute sequence of just balls out action.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the moment Steve Buscemi's shot and killed here, it just starts this massive kind of like snowball of just chaos. Yeah, what did you think of Steve Buscemi's death? Actually, did you see that coming, or do you want to see more of him, or where'd you land on that?
I hate to say that. I thought his death was kind of like hilarious, just because he sees that guy and just run. And I was like, oh my god, like, and
The guy just waits.
yeah, right, and it's just that whip around slow mo shot of them, and I was like, oh, okay,
It's very Bay. It's very Bay.
Yeah, I was like, okay. I do like the fact that he kind of crashes in through like the bar, because he's been drinking the whole time and giving drinks to Ewan McGregor, so he crashes through the bar. I was like, that's kind of cool.
I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, he like goes straight in through like all the liquor cabinet and glasses and stuff. I was like, oh, okay.
I didn't pick up on subtext because this is a Michael Bay movie.
Yeah, right. You're not really looking for any.
No, I'm not. But that's fucking crazy. I didn't pick up on that. But yeah, Lincoln and Jordan take off, and they weave their way through the private areas of the station. I like this chase. It's cut to shit, but I don't mind it. It looks okay. Dude, the nail gun.
Yeah, that thing. I mean, don't get me wrong. That's not how a fucking nail gun works. But hey, that's still like just the fact that we don't even see it. We just see them start going through his hand. I did like that. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool.
And then they board this train. What do you think of this train, man? It's like it's maglev, so it's like it's levitated through magnets. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
when is this set? I don't know when it's set.
2019. I was reading it, like I actually, no shit, I just read something that it's set between July 21st and July 24th, 2019, I think. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, right.
Why?
I'm like, that is, everybody thinks in 50, everybody's like, it's either going to be 100 years or like 15 years. Like, there's never like an in-between of stuff,
Dude, 2005 this came out. In 14 years, they thought we'd perfect cloning.
Yeah, right.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's like, wow. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's still some. I mean, we have 3D printing and shit like that now. And I guess technically, we can't clone stuff. But like, I mean, I'm more impressed by like the hover train bus. I'm like, wow, really? Okay, cool. Like, you thought we'd have that? I mean, we don't even have that. Let alone, I mean, mass societies of like ignorant clones of people.
It's a little rough.
Mm-hmm. I'm getting to you. I'm fucking getting to you.
You're not gonna. I'm not gonna crack. I'm not gonna bump.
Embrace the dark side. You know it be true.
We cut back to Laurent's men. They identified McCord and pull up all the information available about him. They note that his credit card's missing, and they want to monitor their account. Where are we? Basically, they track down. They find out that the tickets were purchased with a credit card, and that the tickets are for a destination in Los Angeles. That's where they're going, basically. And Laurent also gives an order for another team to be assembled in LA. Just why do you need another team? Why don't you just take your own guys here? I don't fucking get it.
Yeah,
But
you could be there probably faster than, I don't know, but I do like the like when they actually arrive and you see like the street sign with so many fucking like I was like, holy shit, like there's like over a dozen street signs on that one pole in that corner. I was like, God, that's actually really fucking cool. I did like that.
I dig it, man. Actually, I don't want to go by. Actually, the incubation chief and Dr. Merrick have a chat, and basically they kind of have a talk about the boat that Lincoln drew, the Renovatio.
Mm-hmm.
And they say that agnates aren't imprinted with knowledge of Latin words, which I dig. I like that there's this kind of like learning sort of ability from Lincoln.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, LA. Along one building is a Reebok ad showing Jamal Starkweather. That's the sponsor for Starkweather 2 Delta. And fucking seriously, Michael Clark Duncan could have been an NFL player.
Oh, dude, when he's running down that hallway, you're like, get the fuck out of that guy's way, man. Like,
dude, he smashes a guy through a plate glass window.
Yeah,
Did
man.
you
Like,
catch that?
Yeah, especially if you've never seen it, it's really funny. It's called The Slam and Salmon. I think I've talked about it on here before. It's the guys who did Super Troopers, Club Dread, or Broken. Sorry, not. They did a movie called Club Dread. The company's called Broken Lizard. But basically, he plays Mike Tyson in that movie. Not literally Mike Tyson, but like if Mike Tyson owned a restaurant, and he is every bit as fucking deranged as you would think he'd be, and it is so hysterical. Please go watch The Slam and Salmon if you haven't seen it. It's great just to see Michael Clark Duncan act like this, because he is a comedic actor and he's done serious things and he's done comedy, but it's him at his funniest. It is so great.
I haven't seen it. I'll put it on the fucking everlasting list, the one that just keeps on growing. I like this. This is probably my favorite moment of Jordan, of Scarlett Johansson's character, when she sees the advertisement, which is an actual advertisement of Scarlett Johansson. It's not created for the movie. It's an actual thing.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. But this is also kind of intercut with the Black Hawk team arriving in LA. We find out they've tapped into the city cameras and several jet bikes and a Black Wasp aerial vehicle are prepared. Like, this is all getting into my 12-year-old boner. I love it.
I do love the fact they open up that briefcase. They have like police, SWAT, like they have so many different things that they can slap on. I'm like, that's pretty badass.
I dig it, man. I dig it. The two find an information directory, and this is where we get, "Mommy, is that you?"
Yeah, that was pretty like tough. I was like, damn, because her sponsor basically has been in like a car wreck or something like that, and she needs like liver, heart, both lungs. I was like, I mean, holy shit. So whoever this little boy's mom, is, the actual, the actual Scarlett Johansson, this little kid, either doesn't really understand what's going on with his mom, or, especially seeing her like that, that's going to be so confusing. I was like, oh, that sucks, man, for that little kid.
Yeah, man, for sure. But the two get picked up by LAPD, which is not what Laurent wants. Basically, they get picked up by LAPD for what happened in the train station, and how awesome do the police cars look? They fucking look dope. Like, our police cars don't look like that here. I know you're, like, the LA cars, because I've been to LA, LA cars do actually look like this.
Yeah,
so
now, mainly around, especially in my hometown, they have a lot of, like, Chargers now. Like, most of all of their cop cars are Chargers.
Love it.
Yeah, very intimidating when you see that behind you. It's like, fuck.
Totally, man. And, like, I remember walking along Santa Monica Pier, and, like, there was one parked on the boardwalk, and, like, inside you could see the shotgun. Like, you don't get that here. You don't get that at all. And I was just like, God, that's crazy, man. Yeah, I'm more of a fan of the Chargers than the Crown Vics. The Crown Vics are a bit old school, but, they still look alright. And this is where we kick off Uh, one of my favorite action sequences of all time. All time. What don't you like about this, Colin?
No, the action scene I don't really especially mind. I love the way, like, as they're escaping, there's that huge black like Mack truck. I love the way that it looks.
Driven by Michael Bay.
Oh, no shit, really?
Yeah.
Wow. And I actually I really I really love anything with an armored car in it. That's just like, armored cars are fucking cool to me. I actually really do like those.
The shot of them like coming out of the armored car, out of the back with the masks on. Ugh.
Yeah. Anytime I see an armored car, I'm just thinking like a heist movie right away. You know, I'm thinking like Heat or something. It makes me feel very, very at home. Some Grand Theft Auto 5 shit, you know. But I do like this sequence of them going down the road in these. I don't know, are those like car axles? Like, I don't know what in God's name it is.
They're train wheels.
Okay.
Yeah. So Michael Bay was driving down a freeway one day, and he was like, "Oh, that's scary." And he literally put that in the movie.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I actually kind of do like it because, like we just talked about, I'm getting really into like Mad Max of recently, and there's something kind of cool about that to me. Of you know, one thing, you know, the car chases, but people forget not only, you know, moving that fast. You know, you throw something out in front of someone, and there's not, even if you jerk out of the way to avoid hitting it, you're gonna flip your car over or fuck it up. I like the physics of the car chase and kind of like throwing things at the cars to kind of like the
carnage.
Yeah, right. The fact that it's literally it's like you know, it's like dropping a penny from the Empire State Building. You know, I think that might be a myth, but still, like just something that small, but it's just at that speed, and being, you know, everything is that delicate at that speed. I really like that. I do like that a lot.
It's fucking cool, man. This entire sequence with the train wheels, man. It's fucking dope. Just the way he shoots it, and the music, the Steve Jablonsky score, it kind of changes. It's not like you still get the drums and I guess the guitar and shit, but there's also this kind of like, I don't know what it is. It's a sound. I can't even explain it. I don't know what instrument it would be. But it just changes, and like it's this fucking crazy chase, and it just, as an older person now, I'm like, imagine the paperwork,
the logistics of this.
Imagine the cleanup. But there's one shot in here that I'd really like to point out. There's a moment where they kind of like slide this. There's this kind of like metal sheet. It's like a rectangular metal sheet, and it slices one of the SUVs in half, like through the middle. Did you see that?
No, honestly, there's a lot. There's a
lot to take in here, but it's basically this metal sheet, and it goes like vertically into the middle.
Oh,
of like,
yeah.
Straight through the middle. So that exact shot was used in Transformers Dark of the Moon. And the reason for that is because in Transformers Dark of the Moon, there was a car chase, and unfortunately one of the stuntmen died.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, a cable snapped, and it just absolutely took him out, and unfortunately they just died. And Michael Bay used, I guess he kind of had to cover it up. He had to cover up a shot, and he used that exact sequence, like that exact shot. He took away the metal frame that hits the car and superimposed a transformer hitting it. But it's the exact same shot, literally, except it's just superimposed with a transformer. It's you know, I just wanted to point it out because it's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But then the Black Wasp. Come on.
No, is that what the bike is called, or there's the helicopter?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Black Wasp, take him out. I was like, oh, this is fucking awesome, man. The way the bike just comes flying past.
Yeah, I love the way the bike looks. I do. I think it looks really fucking cool. It reminds me of the Ghost from the Halo games.
Oh, yes.
I fucking love.
Good pull, man.
Yeah, I fucking love the Ghost vehicles in that. Those are some of my favorites. But that's really what it reminded me of. Pretty much a snowmobile. You know, like And I like the scene between them, especially with the other Black Wasp hitting the train cars, and because when you're watching this, you're like, how the fuck can Ewan McGregor drive this thing? And then you're like, oh well, yeah, the guy that because his sponsor, what is his sponsor? Is he just like kind of like an adrenaline junkie, or is he just like building cars and shit, kind of?
It's explained that he's really into bikes, so that somewhere might come into it, but. We'll get to it later, but most of the traits that the sponsor has is pretty much what Ewan McGregor is into in real life.
Oh, yeah, I did see that. Yeah, that was really interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, this chaser through the city, I like it, man. As a kid, I was like all about this fucking moment. They go straight through the building, dude. And it looks like that they actually like kind of built one of these things. Like it's a practical effect. Like you do get CG here with them flying through the thing, but when as soon as like they're in the building flying through the floor, it's all practical, which I dig. And then they end up on this sign, and I love this, man. Like this kind of like the way this whole chase just escalated, and they end up in this absolutely dead end kind of situation. I dig, man. I love Lawrence men going straight to the top and just firing at them from below. I love, for some reason, man, I love the way the sign takes down the helicopter on its way down. It's just so visually awesome. As a child, I was just like, God damn, fucking smash the popcorn in my face. just slam it into my face, man. Just give it to me.
Now, this shit really did get on my fear of heights. Just like being on that sign as it's falling from the building, and just slowly, just like it seems like it's taking forever, and it's like you're just your certain demise, just like flying through the air. And obviously, it's movie magic bullshit. They hit some tripwires, they hit a chain link fence, they land on 25 feathered pillows or whatever. But yeah, and that was the thing that was one of the biggest things that was hard to swallow. I was like, even though I don't think it's digitally done, I like the way it looks when they land up and they get kind of caught up in that fence or net or whatever it is that they hit. I'm like, oh, that actually does look good. I mean, you'd be dead as fuck, but hey, that actually does look kind of cool.
Yeah, you're fucking gone. But some of the shots of the sign hanging off the building, like really far wide shots, look awesome.
Mm-hmm.
As it starts to come down, and then you just get carnage as it just comes down, and they get caught up in netting, which totally movie bullshit. You are dead. You are dead on the fucking truck as you're hauling the fucking trains off, the train wheels off, But it's enjoyable, man. But then you get racism immediately.
Oh yeah, that guy. Like, oh girl, I know Jesus love you. I was like, oh Jesus.
Oh boy. Yeah, it's wild, man. This entire sequence. Every time this comes on, man, like I'm all about this. By the way, is this guy, this racist guy, is he from Die Hard? Is that Reginald Val Johnson?
Oh, sorry. I was like, wait, who's being racist in this? I'm like, oh, you mean the guy that they like? Yeah, the stereotypical guy.
Yeah.
I'm not as familiar with Die Hard as you are, actually.
Well, he's the only black cop. Welcome to the party, pal. But anyway, I think it might be him, man. I don't wanna fucking linger on this, but I'm curious for my own little. And no, it's not him. Fuck.
No, that's what you get for being a fucking racist. So have a good job.
You know what? I'll just go kill myself. That's the second time this fucking episode. Eh? Jesus Christ. We cut back to Merrick.
Yeah.
Merrick. Basically talking to Gandu, and this is where Gandu is just like, okay, well, Lincoln was smarter, and basically Lincoln's theories have infected, I guess, other clones, and this is another thing I find fascinating about this movie. Once you plant the seed, it just grows, and Merrick has no choice but to just fucking extinguish this, just flatten it like a cockroach under his shoe. I like it.
I did want to see this guy sponsor in real life, because we see one of the guys, and Ewan McGregor points him out. He's like, that guy has a clone. And he's like, that's the president of the United States. and it's like I'm curious as to who's this guy's sponsor. Like I always wanted to see that. Well, not always. I watched the movie about 5 hours ago. But like as I watched it, I was like, I kind of wanted to see who was this guy's sponsor, because he's annoying, but he's kind of likable at the same time.
Yeah, I get you. But Merrick takes him out, basically.
He gives him that fucking shot, and I was like, oh, god damn, dude. Like, at first I was like, oh, surely he won't kill him. He'll just give him something to wipe his memory. It's like, no, we're just gonna kill him. I'm like, can't you wipe memories? You install memories. Like, fucking wipe shit, dude. Like, come on. Like, I mean, just from a clearly business standpoint, like...
See, but I think I'm actually on Bean's side here. I wouldn't take the chance. Like, mainly only because I've seen Westworld.
Yeah, it makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, so, like, because, like, once you, like... I'm firmly of the idea that like once you plant the seed in these guys' heads, that like, it's just going to affect everything, and like if you think you've wiped their memory, it's just they're going to have some kind of remnant of it. But yeah, I like Sean Bean, man. Get me a list of all the echoes in active population. Like that's just it's harrowing. It's harrowing. Love it. Basically, Scarlett Johansson. Oh, well, Jordan. I guess Jordan and Lincoln, they find a covered walkway and they have this little chat. Jordan asks Lincoln about Sarah's son. Although Lincoln tries to reassure her, Jordan sees right through him as she always can. Lincoln puts an arm around his shoulders. It's not important really. Like it's just they I don't really get a sense of chemistry between these two.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, and you can make an argument that's kind of just the way they're developed. That's the way that they're set up. But at the same time, I mean, at some point, because we do have a payoff from that, they actually, kind of like consummate their relationship. I don't think that there's really any kind of like setup to that. There's a little bit, we can tell that they like each other, but that's really about it. It's kind of like a bit of naivety. So maybe I do like it from that sense. As far as they know, they're really the only ones that can trust each other. They're the only ones that can really relate to each other out here in the real world. So I do kind of like that, but it's just not built up enough. We don't see that enough.
Yeah.
And I would have liked to have seen that, or them start maybe acting a little bit more mature, and realizing, oh man, the world really isn't like what we thought it was. Like this kind of sucks,
Yeah, no, I totally agree. We just didn't get enough of it, and like I was just like, yeah, it's not the strongest point of the movie. To me, the strongest point of the movie is them trying to slowly figure out who they are, but. Yeah, whatever. Next day they get a ride to Tom Lincoln's estate. Lincoln peers into what looks like a security camera near the door, and it reads his prints, which I like, because it makes sense.
Yeah, how do they find this place? Yeah, I was like...
The directory? No, he wasn't listed.
Right, yeah, that's because I thought I just missed something. And I was like, oh, okay, like, and maybe I did, but I still don't know how the fuck they got to this guy's house, because, I mean, obviously he's worth some kind of chunk of change. I don't think most of these people. I was surprised Scarlett Johansson's character was listed. I mean, she's obviously a model or an actress, or they don't really specify exactly what she does, do they?
Not really. I mean, like, you just kind of get the sense that she's a celebrity.
Right, yeah. So I'm like, oh, she's listed. She's in the phone book on a public street. You can look up and see where she lives. Bullshit.
For fuck's sake, Colin, let me like this movie, all right? Oh boy. And what are you doing in my house?
Let the hate flow through you.
Oh, yes. But I like this moment. I like my name is Lincoln Six Echo. I'm your insurance policy. Like I like his delivery. Ewan McGregor's great. Apparently, it took them ages to film this scene because Ewan McGregor had to fucking change his clothes and shit. But I mean, I'm sure there's a smarter way to cut around that. Michael, Jesus.
I do like the way the scenes look with both Ewan McGregor's in there. There's not a lot that looks, because there's some you watch it and you're like, I don't know about that. They don't put them in a lot of shots together unless it's absolutely impossible. And even then, like a lot of them are done from behind, so there'd be some kind of stand-in or something. The product placement of the Michelob Ultra is just so, you fucking fuck you, dude. Like, it literally they look like the beginning of a commercial. I was like, come on,
But that's
man.
Bay. But that's Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, he gets a lot of shit for product placement in his movies, but yeah, that's just the thing, man. You got to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Product placement doesn't really affect me. I don't really care. Like I don't. To be honest, I don't give a shit. Like, advertising is going to be everywhere, but if it's something like that's really, really outstanding like that, like there is a moment in both of the last two Transformers movies. Mark Wahlberg outright just drinks Bud Light, like fucking label to the screen and everything. It's so
America, watching my movies and drinking my beer.
Here to save the motherfucking day, yeah. Anyway, Merrick is told by one of his officers that there's some weird shit going on with the fucking clones. Instead of 3 years of growth, with Lincoln's clone, with Lincoln. Instead of 3 years of growth, he's showing 30 years of growth. And maybe it's a result of some cortical infection, but Merrick knows that, hey, an infection can't teach a person Latin or give them understanding of how to fly. And Lincoln 6 Echo scan shows memories belonging not only to him, but to Tom Lincoln, his actual sponsor. What do you think about this?
I thought it was pretty cool. I like the fact that, even though this does go a lot of like Blade Runner avenues of false memories and stuff like that, I like the fact that it's actually like, well, yes, you have false memories, but you do have real ones. Like, you will remember things. Like, and they don't specifically ever say exactly why. It's that Lincoln is able to overcome that. It's just some kind of like glitch in it, which I do like. This is not something that they have like perfected. So I do think that's kind of cool that they actually do have their own memories, and it just kind of slowly starts to come back to them. That they're not just replicants and they're just like blank and they're just kind of made that way. I did like that.
Like fucking Westworld. Boom! I keep bringing that shit up, and I don't even care. You know what? Like, because it's just so ingrained in my. I fucking love that show.
Totally unrelated. We've had a boost in our We've had a boost in our advertising from Westworld lately.
Yeah, you better thank me, HBO, because obviously you need the advertising, right? Jesus Christ.
Coming soon to HBO Midnight Double Feature.
Oh man, can you imagine what we could do with that money?
Oh Jesus.
Tom Lincoln is removing the bracelets from Lincoln and Jordan's wrist. Recognizes Jordan's face from the men's magazines that Sarah Jordan's posed for. Tom, where did you get those magazines? Because I would like some.
Yeah, he was like Maxim, GQ. I was like, I'm pretty sure I've seen at least one of those.
Tom Lincoln, of course, is more interested in Jordan himself, and they talk about sex. Because why wouldn't you?
Yeah, right. He's like, wait, he's like, wait, you're both virgins?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
But like, what is he? I mean, surely that's like assumed knowledge, right? Like, I mean, wouldn't you know that? Wouldn't you take a guess at that?
Yeah, I guess so, because I mean, you wouldn't want a clone of you banging anybody. I mean, what if they got STDs or whatever? Like, this is kind of like what's good for you is good for me. Like, I don't want you going out and doing anything like too crazy. But I guess he's assuming that they're like in the program, that they're virgins and they're kept away from each other and stuff like that. But now that they've been out on their own for a couple of days, I guess he's assuming at some point they would have like bumped uglies. But I've been feeling fine, baby. One thing I was gonna say though. Maybe I missed this at the beginning. I know they're not taught anything about sex, and I think they just say that those urges are just kind of repressed. Is that like a chemical thing, or I didn't know, because obviously some of them can reproduce. I mean, the woman has the kid, So I assume that they don't shut off the reproductive or like desires or, sexual desires of their clones, because they might at some point, I want to have a kid, but I don't want to wreck my body. And they don't want to have that absolutely like shut off. So I'm not 100% sure on that. I don't know if it was with Hitman, like the Hitman games, he's just kind of like a eunuch, like they just snipped him like right away. I didn't know if it was something like that, or, like with the clones in Star Wars, they're emotionally just kind of repressed to the point where they don't want anything like sexual or anything like that. But I guess that no matter what they've put into them, they're going to start, because they never really start talking about if Jordan has memories. I don't think she ever does. I don't think she...
No, it never goes that deep, which is a problem with her character, I think.
Right, yeah, because if it were happening to them simultaneously... which I would have liked to have seen, because it's happening to him already, and he's a year 3 and she's a year 4. And I'm like, well, shouldn't she have had something kind of happen? But I mean, because they end up, like I said, ultimately kind of like, kind of banging later on. And I was like, okay, well, is she the whole time like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what is this? Like, does she just know instinctively, even though they've repressed them in a way? Like, it just, there's so many things that it ends up kind of asking too many questions, and for the sake of like the time of this podcast and the sake of just my own sanity, like it asks so many, it puts so many rules in motion that end up asking more questions. A movie that does something like this really well is Looper. Looper is high concept, has a lot of rules, and does have some room for speculation and like what, but at the same time, It doesn't leave a lot to be left imagined. There's not a lot of holes you can poke in it, which is what I like. Something like this just doesn't do that as well.
Oh, sorry, I was checking my watch, making sure you were done.
No, fuck you, God.
I'm kidding.
Oh God, no. Well, that's when we go. Hey, how much you getting paid? Getting paid for what? To sit on that soapbox, dude. Shut the fuck up.
I start fucking playing a piano like the Oscars, playing you off.
Yeah, just be like, Colin, I'm a lawyer. I'm going to charge you my hourly rate if you don't fucking hurry up.
No, man. All valid points, man. Like it doesn't. It's very shallow. Is the point I think you're trying to make, right?
Yeah, sure. I don't know. I fucking hate this movie. It's a piece of shit. Whatever. Just fucking you fill in the goddamn blanks.
Hey,
I don't fucking care. I'm
just gonna read my notes.
I'm just kidding.
Oh boy. Lincoln tells his sponsor that he and Jordan have come to him hoping to expose the truth of the Institute to the public. And Tom Lincoln says that he can't believe it himself, even though he's standing face to face with his own insurance policy. But Lincoln Six Echo happens to turn and sees a man on TV that he recognized from the Agnet population as the president. This is what you said earlier.
Yeah, which of course, I mean, if I were the president, I would too. I'm
sure
another
Donald Trump out there somewhere.
Oh my God, I can only imagine that it's something that it wouldn't surprise me if the president doesn't even know he has one. They're like, well, people do get assassinated. If anything happens, we can just make sure he has all the same memories and drop him in just like nothing.
It'd be so cool, man, if you get to go to this institute and like, because Kennedy was assassinated in real life, you find another Kennedy down there and shit.
They've got it. They fucking got it.
Oh, hey, man. Whatever happens in that bunker stays in that bunker. And basically, they have this wacky idea that Lincoln Six Echo and actual Tom Lincoln can get on the news together. Then the institute will be exposed. And Jordan tells Tom Lincoln that thousands of people, everyone she and Lincoln Six Echo know at the institute are going to die there. When Jordan takes Lincoln Six Echo's hand, Tom Lincoln finally smiles at her and says he just needs to get his shoes, and then he'll take them to the NBC news station.
Now, what is he suffering from? Is it syphilis?
It's hepatitis.
Yeah, because basically he's just been... he kind of insinuates that it's just from a global banging, I guess, just like going around the world.
A lot of fucking.
Yeah, right. And I think this is where they start. Well, no, we're not to that point yet, but I guess we can get a little ahead where he says it's only $5 million for one of these things. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, but I think most people would probably pay $5 million to live, what do they say, another 60 or 70 years?
Mm-hmm.
like, I mean, $5 million is for a whole new life. Like, I mean, yeah, most people would probably do that.
Have you seen Talladega Nights?
Oh, fuck yeah.
With the advances in modern technology, it's not crazy to live that it's not crazy to think that I can live past 270, maybe 300. He's so fucking good. I love him.
Is that Farrell or Riley?
That's Farrell, man.
Oh,
He's like,
yeah.
because he's like, I can't remember what they're talking about. He's like, but with the, oh no, wait. One of his fucking executives says, "You're not gonna live forever," and he's like, "No, I know that, but you know." With the advances in modern science, it's not crazy to think I can live maybe up to 270, maybe 300. Fucking wild.
When he starts talking about wild packs of ravenous dogs,
Oh my
can't
God.
fucking keep it together. That's my favorite part of that movie.
Jesus Christ. I love that movie. Down, Karen, down. But yeah, well, what do you think about
It sucks.
well-
No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
just straight up without even like hearing the question? It's fucking Michael Bay. It sucks. Tom Lincoln goes downstairs and quietly places a call to the Merrick Institute and demands, "What's he doing on my fucking sofa?"
Oh yeah. I like that part a lot because even though this guy is kind of charming, we do like him kind of right off the bat. I got a sense right away. I was like, this guy is going to turn them in. You know, like this is too easy. Even though we are, you know, an hour and 46 minutes in, we could have, you know, kind of started wrapping the movie up. You know, but we've got another about 25 minutes left. You know, I could have seen this movie winding down here. But you know, like it's kind of almost like a false third act. It's really kind of the end of the second one, but it feels like it's starting to rev up into like the end of the movie. It psychs you out a little bit there, but I knew there was something about his character that I was like, all right, this guy's kind of slimy, you know?
Yeah.
Like you kind of get, but he plays that well. He plays both of them like very well.
But yeah, I also like, I mean, look, I'm sure Michael Bay didn't mean this because he doesn't, you know, necessarily mean subtext, but I kind of like that these two clones, just how naive they are to trust anyone. Like, they don't really get humans, if that makes sense.
Right, especially the people who are, I get that the people there don't understand the conditions, that, you know, they think you guys are just all unconscious and all that other jazz. But at the same time, you know, these people are sick and, you know, we see Michael Clark Duncan's character kind of cash in on his insurance. Scarlett Johansson's sponsor, you know, she's in a wreck and we find out that Ewan McGregor's is also about to cash his in. So, you know, it kind of also puts it a point. It's not one of those things where, you know, he can just go, oh yeah, I don't really need you. I mean, I guess I can just let you go and have them do something else, you know, blah, blah. All of them are kind of in need of their clones, which is interesting to note. Like all of them kind of are getting to that point, you know, but we see it also in different stages. You know, Michael Clark Duncan gets picked up. We actually see him like literally getting cut open, and I assume, you know, everything's fine, and that it actually goes through. I think Starkweather. I think that's his character's name.
Yeah, Starkweather.
We see, you know, I guess nothing's wrong with the real Starkweather, but then we see Johansson, you know, she's kind of going into it, but then we see McGregor, who is a couple of years away from that. So it's kind of like, this is almost like a way of like breaking the cycle. And I do like that. I like that it shows different kind of like progressions of it.
Yeah, no, it's slick. It's slick.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, don't. Anyway, she reads Tom Lincoln's eyes, and she's like, his eyes are lying. I like it. I dig it. And basically the two Lincolns get into Tom's fastest, fanciest cars. Like, dude, this car was fucking beautiful. It's some kind of concept vehicle from Chevy.
Yeah, I think it's it's like some kind of Cadillac or something.
Oh yeah, Cadillac. Sorry, Jesus Christ, it's Chevy.
But yeah, no, that car, it looks incredible.
Pretty sure it's in Transformers.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, it's one of the Transformers. Side swipe or some bullshit. I don't know. But yeah, it's activated by a thumbprint, and you know it's a perfect match. And this is where we find out about $5 million. In the house, Jordan goes upstairs to Tom Lincoln's room and finds an open briefcase. With two pistol holders, whatever, and one of them is missing. She picks up the smaller one, weighing it in her hand. Lincoln stops at. Well, he has to stop at a red light, but he's like, red, red, red. I like this moment.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah.
He's like, what? He's like, not even fucking understanding the concept of traffic lights. And then, yeah, the Black Hawk helicopter comes in. Sorry, these aren't actually Black Hawk helicopters. They're Black Hawk helicopters, as in like the company's name, I guess. Because if this was a Black Hawk helicopter, this would be loud and huge, and not this. Tom pulls his own pistol and tells Lincoln Six Echo that he's not ready to die for him, saying that the feeling is mutual. Lincoln floors the gas pedal. I love it. Racing forward. I love this moment of just a fucking the door opening. This internal fucking battle.
Yeah, and there's a lot of biting going on because I mean he's driving for one thing, but he's not really a fighter per se, you know.
And it's shot well, man. Like just the car in the foreground and the helicopter in the background. It's cool. Basically, but this ends in a standoff. What do you think about this?
Fuck it, I fucking didn't like this. I didn't
like this as well.
It's the typical, it's the typical standoff in a lot of movies.
I'm Tom Lincoln.
Right. But I, especially because the way that it gets diffused, with,
it's weird. I don't get it. I still don't get it.
Yeah,
I mean, I get that he puts the wristband on, but wouldn't you see it?
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth.
It's
like
plain view.
Yeah, he's like in plain view. You see him slap that thing on his wrist, and like he literally, I mean, he's staring right at the clone, and then looks back over to the original and just shoots him. I'm like, wow, like,
yeah,
that's incredible. Like, I mean, you literally just saw it. Like, you saw him just grab him by the wrist. Like, you saw a thing that was not there 60 seconds ago appear there. Like,
yeah, it would make sense if, like, he puts the wristband on while they're struggling on the floor, because they struggle on the floor when they get out of the car. Like, it would make sense if he puts it on there before Laurent actually sees them. But Laurent is pointing the gun at him and clearly sees that there's no wristband on the real Lincoln's wrist. And then it's there. Like, wouldn't you even see his hand raise up and, like, slap it around his... Like, I don't get it. Ugh. I don't get it.
Yeah, that was let the hate flow through you.
No, but this is a moment in the movie that I've never liked. And like, even if you're the real Lincoln as well, just fucking pull the trigger. Like,
something dark side.
something complete.
No, I totally agree. I mean, it's one of the silliest parts of it, and just not only the fact that it is redundant, even in 2004, that's extremely redundant to do that scene, but then to do it in a way that's I don't know,
ludicrous? Like doesn't make any sense.
Right, like what you said makes a lot more sense of just like doing it while they're on the ground in the tussle. Like I can absolutely see that because it's a good throwback. The fact that the Lincoln clone didn't just throw the wristband away. That he was like, no, like I kind of have something I want to use this for. Like that's kind of cool. I like that. But let's just do it in such plain view, But I mean, but other than that, I mean the scene's okay. I like the. I like the fact that he switches to the Scottish accent. Obviously, he's got to. But he's smart. Decides to do that. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I actually like that. I can dig it.
Yeah, I mean, and the way it's shot is cool too. Like it's all slow mo as you get with Bay, but I mean, I kind of dig the slow mo, man. I like seeing the bullet. Fucking, I don't know. Maybe I'm just again retarded. Okay, so Laurent points out to Lincoln that he's been the witness to certain trade secrets. Lincoln's answer subtly indicates that he's the clone, and Laurent's tone hints that he picked up on this, but, he's playing along. Lincoln says that people will do anything to survive, and he just wants to live without regard for how.
Mm-hmm.
I like it, but, I mean, I don't know if... Is it realistic that he lets him go.
Not really. I mean, not mainly because not even 60 seconds later, they're out to go pick up Scarlett Johansson, which I understand. You have to do that at your job. And he does kind of end up. There are a couple of scenes of him where you can tell on his face, that he's not wanting to do this. So it builds up a little bit more than I remember it. But at the same time, if you're going to have no problem letting Ewan McGregor go right there, just turn and fucking shoot your guys in the head and be like, okay, cool, get out of here. See you later. Because ultimately, you're like that would make more sense than letting things get to this big final confrontation and you blow up the whole thing. Because he doesn't have really any idea about that. I assume that it's something that, he's got a problem with these few clones being treated like this, or he's got a problem with all of them. But it's, again, for somebody who's just kind of like torn in between and just the turmoil of it, I get it a little bit more than I did before, but if it's something that bothers you to the point that literally we're getting into our third act and he's going to play a major part of that, why not go ahead and do this now versus getting back to the quote unquote base, where there's so much more security and it's so much harder to get these people out of there. Like, that just didn't make any sense to me, because it's like, oh well, it's a movie, sorry, we have to keep going.
Yeah, I'm with you. Fuck you, Colin.
Yeah, well, I mean, fuck, just kill everybody. You team up with Johansson, act like you're bringing her back, and then both you have guns and start fucking shooting. And maybe that's exactly what happens, because I was like, how the fuck, when he brings her back, I'm like, how the fuck, and she pulls the gun out. I don't want to get too far ahead. How the fuck?
From where? Her vagina?
Yeah, right. I was like, you didn't search her before you put her on that table or brought her back into this, classified...
That's jumping forward because I want to talk about this sex scene.
Oh, God.
12-year-old me wants to see half of a titty.
No, dude, that is the most PG-rated sex scene I've ever seen. Like, oh my God.
It's blurred and behind shit, and then you get a close up on their lips kissing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, before we move on, I do want to talk about Merrick talking with his chief or whatever the fuck. Basically, Lincoln 6 Echo is kind of showed that the universal trait of human curiosity is undermined their kind of programming, and basically everyone here they're all infected. So the Institute is faced with a large number of clones that have the trait of for deficient behavior and the ability and the ability and nature to question the life of the Institute. So Bain believes that the only solution is a recall, the disposal of over $200 million worth of product.
Whew.
Mass winnings. I dig this, man. I dig the mass winnings idea. With the lottery. Yeah,
right. To basically, I mean, kind of, just kind of hurting people up, putting them in the gas chambers, basically.
Mm-hmm. This guy, Charlie Whitman. What do you think about Charlie Whitman? Have you seen this actor before?
Shit. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, so I'll help you out. His name's Kim Coates. He's from Sons of Anarchy. He's awesome in a lot of shit, man.
Oh yeah, the guy who is that the one who calls Ewan McGregor and kind of walks him through the?
Yep.
Okay,
that's what I'm getting at right now. Yeah.
I've never seen him in shit. Honestly, I've never.
Oh, okay, right.
I've never watched Sons of Anarchy. That just wasn't really my scene.
It doesn't end great.
Yeah. But yeah, actually, Lindsay pointed that out as soon as he came on. Oh, he's from Sons of Anarchy. I was like, oh, fucking could have fooled me.
Oh boy. But yeah, Lincoln and Jordan contemplate escaping, but then they reconsider. They're like, we left all those people behind. It's not the right thing to do. Morals. Clones are better than humans, I guess. Right?
Yeah, sure.
If you say so, Zahab.
Speaking of the mass winnings, the one part that absolutely does get to me is or it's basically when they're when they start showing all of the people winning, and Ewan McGregor's best friend, I can't remember all of their names.
Jones 3 Echo. Yeah.
Yeah, like, and they show him wadding up the paper, and he's thought he's won, and I'm like, oh,
I like it.
That was the hardest part for me. I was like, God, that does suck, because he's very likable, especially right off the bat. He's very funny and very sweet, and just to see him so excited and he has no idea what's coming, I was like, God damn it, man.
I like it, man, and like when they put him in the oven, God damn, it's dark.
Oh God, yeah, and he's like, I don't think we're going the right way, like,
yeah,
oh,
are you new
God.
here? Yeah.
Ugh.
But basically, they decide that they have to go back. They basically infiltrate the complex. Johansson's picked up by Laurent, and Lincoln enters legitimately. He talks to Kim Coates' character, and I'm sorry. He's basically sucking his dick. He's like, oh, I'm sorry that this happened, blah, blah, but, whatever. So, as Whitman turns his back and starts making small talk, Lincoln suddenly clubs himself. Jesus. Clubs him unconscious with the butt of his gun. Meanwhile, Jordan's on the gurney in surgery in the prep room. She quietly eases her own gun out of the, I'm going to say, vagina. Because it can't be anywhere else. Surely it can't.
I can't get into it again. I'm like, you didn't search her? Not at all? Like, nothing? Like,
He must have. These guys have been shown to be kind of proficient. Like, he must have.
Yeah, well, that and she's not even strapped down to the fucking table. Like you're about to cut this person open who escaped and has been trying to avoid you, and it's like, you didn't even strap her down. Like, whatever. Like, you just...
Wouldn't she be naked? Why is she wearing clothes as well? I mean, like, I'm not being a creep here, but if she's...
prepping her for surgery, man. It's a lot easier to take clothes off of a person than cut them off of them when they're on the table. Like, what the fuck? Yeah,
like, she hasn't been in a car accident and, like, her clothes don't need to be cut off.
I feel like we're becoming, like... Do you watch Rick and Morty?
Yeah.
I feel
I'm not up to date.
No, I was gonna say, I feel like I think it's in the second season where they're beating the shit out of everybody at the end, and they're all jacked up, and X gonna give it to you, and they're just fucking beating the shit out of, like, Nazis and, like, people who abuse their dogs. I feel like that's us with this movie right now. Like, the movie keeps trying to get back up, but we, like, step on its wrist and break its wrist, and it's like, oh my God, just kicking the shit out of this thing.
Well, this entire, I'm gonna say it right now, this entire sort of last sort of part of the movie, I don't dig it as much as I do the first half. Oh, sorry, not the first half, but that entire sort of middle, the second act. Because the second act, to me, is my favorite, obviously. But basically, she steals the key and, dons a medical coat. She locks him in the surgery room, and, it's all, kind of infiltrating shit, infiltrating music.
Right, and I love that Lincoln's got the gun. I love that.
Yeah,
that he was smart enough to grab that, because and unfortunately this is like the emotional maturity I kind of wanted to see them at 20 minutes ago. Like that, like they're both starting to realize, like, he's playing the actual Lincoln well. He's not really fucking up or saying stupid shit. I like it a lot, but I wish they would have had this emotional maturity a little bit earlier on.
Yeah, I get ya, but I don't agree with you. So Laurent meets with Dr. Merrick. Merrick expresses gratitude and writes a check to pay him. Laurent asks about Sarah Jordan, and Merrick says that her prognosis isn't good. Even with the organ transplant, she's suffered enough brain damage and she probably won't recover. Despite this, the transplant is going through the privilege that she's paid for. And Laurent kind of launches into this story about his father, saying that he was a political... this kind of... It didn't really fit. And he says that his father was part of a political rebellion in his native Burkina Faso. When the rebellion was crushed and Laurent's father was slain, he and all his brothers were branded on their palms to show that as children of a rebel, they were less than human. With all he's seen and done, he's learned that to many, war is a business. I don't know.
Yeah, I just I don't mind it, but it is kind of it is a little out of left field. Because ultimately now, I mean, I get as the story goes on, he's starting to feel a little bit more guilty about what he's doing. But I mean, right away you know what you knew what you were doing right away. Like you haven't had to. It's not like again with Blade Runner where you've got Deckard who's killing replicants and he's starting to feel kind of worn down by this. You know, the fact that I'm killing these like real people. You know, and I get that we're not going to be able to do that with as much with this character because Deckard's our main character. But I mean, just a little bit more to some degree where it's not. Right at the end, right when they're cutting you the check, you know, then he starts shooting people out of kind of not out of nowhere, but it was like, man, that was just kind of sudden, you know.
It's wild. It is a bit wild. I mean, like, you know, we have gotten a couple moments where he kind of like sympathizes with the clones, but I don't think it's enough to do this.
Right,
really.
right, exactly. I could see him letting them go and acting like they're dead or they're just missing or something like that. But as far as to go back and start killing people and shooting people, it's the right thing to do. But I just don't see that in his character.
Yeah. But look, while this happens, Lincoln finds his way to I guess, kind of like a server room that kind of like just shows the hologram of what's actually outside.
Right.
Yeah. And he shoots at the locked doors. You know, security picks up a disturbance and notifies Dr. Merrick. Jordan is following the chosen, quote, chosen Agnets and their security escorts. They go down a lift. Jordan turns and sees Laurent behind her. She aims a gun at him, but she can't shoot. Laurent slowly approaches and he disarms her. And dude, this when the chosen Agnets are loaded into the kind of like lift or whatever, the oven, it's rough. It's rough. It kind of like it might be the most sort of like emotionally kind of the only, I guess, emotional moment in the movie.
Right, yeah, because I mean, with you know, with him talking about being treated, you know, people being treated less than human, we see people being loaded into ovens. I mean, there's a lot of allegory that I don't really think I have to spell out for anybody there. And you could say that this is symbolic for something else. I don't think so because it's Michael Bay. But at the same time, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to beat you over the head with it. I think that there's enough there to kind of draw those kind of comparisons. You know, when you have a society that's you know that basically is you know, finds another group of people expendable, you can always kind of draw that comparison, even though there's so many way more differences between, you know, this work of fiction and actual fact. But anytime it's the same thing with the mutants in X-Men, you know, people who are blamed for a lot of problems, you know, that people are just afraid of them, you know, like kind of thing. There's a lot of different comparisons with any kind of group that becomes ostracized like that. But especially
it's a racial allegory.
Right, yeah, and especially with literally loading them up in the ovens, that was just like, man, like you can't really putting someone in an oven, you can't help but have any other type of imagery pop into your head.
Yeah, no, for sure. So Lincoln goes to shut down the holographic power grid, but he gets attacked by Dr. Merrick. This is all bad guy shit. Like, I mean, it's not really something that you can kind of like really deeply go into. But Bay has actually said that he is disappointed with this sort of last sort of standoff. He wanted it to be in Bay's own way, unique way. He wanted it to be bigger, but apparently they kind of ran out of money.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Michael, maybe you don't have $100 million car chase in the middle of your movie, and you'll save some money.
Yeah, right. Like fucking $20 million. I can understand because the absolute most hysterical part of one of the most absolutely hysterical parts of this movie are when, you know, Sean Penn shoots him with, I guess like the harpoon gun.
Sean Bain.
Yeah,
Not
Sean.
Penn.
Dude, oh yeah, Sean Penn. Sorry. Like he shoots him and pulls him back with that harpoon, and he's like, you could have just taken over his life, blah blah blah. No, he couldn't. Like you've actually been informed that he's not the real one. So yeah. No, even though he doesn't know that. That's not the point to what you're saying. But then again, he also says, and you came back, blah blah blah. And he calls him the. Yeah, calls him calls him by his actual, I don't know what you want to call it, like his clone name, I guess, if that's how you want to say it.
Name. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Designation, whatever.
Right, you truly are unique, Six Echo. And just, oh my God, my name is Lincoln! I was like, oh my God, I am checked out.
I kind of like it.
Oh, God damn it.
It's dumb, man, but I dig it.
It's the delivery, man. Like, it's more so the delivery, but
Sean Bean's delivery is great, but I like you truly are unique, Six Echo. Like I like his delivery, but yeah, I like Ewan's delivery of my name is Lincoln is it's pretty cheesy, but I like it. It's fucking stupid, but I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. I don't know, man. By the way, if you I kind of like listening to scores of here and there. There's a track on this soundtrack called "My Name Is Lincoln," and it's pretty good. So if you wanna check it out,
I'll check it out.
Yeah. Lincoln and Merrick, they fucking grapple, and basically Merrick ends up fucking asphyxiated, just gone. He gets asphyxiated, right? I think I'm pretty sure.
I'm sorry. Say that one more time.
He gets asphyxiated, so he gets like choked out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he wrapped like I do like that. He's got him wrapped up around the neck because I think Sean Penn shot him. No, not Sean Penn. Why do I keep saying Sean Penn? Jesus. But anyways, 006 from GoldenEye. He winds up. No, I'm just kidding. That's all he'll ever be to me, by the way. But I love that because him shooting.
He'll always be the hitcher for me.
I love that, he shoots him with that, and they end up kind of being, it ends up being the thing that wraps him, Ewan McGregor is the weight, basically, that winds up choking him out. I guess it breaks his neck, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But it just, either way, he ends up being the counterweight that kind of hangs him when the blade comes down and chops their landing up. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And it's a cool shot of both them kind of hanging there in the air and the dust and everything hanging around. And really, really great imagery of all the other clones seeing daylight for the first time and escaping.
Yes.
And just the plethora of white uniforms just running out. Like,
I love it.
Yeah, I do like that. That looks really, really great. That's very dystopian, kind of like utopia kind of shit that I like.
It's good shit, man. And the music really underlines it. I really like the music in this. Like, it's it's not subtle. It's like, here, have feelings. But I still think it adds to the movie really, really heavily. And yeah, man, they kiss. Lincoln Six Echo and Jordan Delta kiss, and Laurent just walks away.
And Jonas 3 Echo, man, or Jones 3 Echo, like him, that's one of my favorite parts. He's actually probably my favorite part of this movie. I think he's such a great, because he's like, he does play that childlike thing, like a little bit too heavy-handed, like pretty much everyone does. But he's just been so optimistic about this the whole time, and versus as a Gandalf 3 Echo, Gandu 3 Echo. That guy's just kind of. We don't really we hate seeing him die. It's not. But if it had been reversed, if they had killed Jones 3 Echo, that would have been such a more powerful scene. But it's because we like that character so much more when we see him escape at the end, and he's been wanting it more. And not only that, he's not like whiny about it. He's not bitchy about it. But which is why I'm
glad they understood that. Yeah.
Right. I love seeing him escape at the end of this movie. That's one of my favorite parts. Is just seeing the light, and he's just so excited, man. He's just like a dog being taken home from the shelter, and like getting to escape that awful kind of life. Like that's fucking great. I love that.
I dig it, man. It's a good ending. It's a good, strong ending. And the movie closes with Jordan and Lincoln aboard the completed Renovadia as it cruises through the waters. taking them to the new life. I could have done without that, but okay, fine. There are a couple shots here that I kind of want to talk about. So Michael Bay, I don't know if this is kind of some kind of mistake or an error or some shit, but like Transformers has this as well. It's kind of like a lens that he uses, and if you look at the edge of the corners of the screen, it's like kind of like black arches. Like it's not the right sort of lens or some shit like that. It looks weird, and it's like in these Renovadio scenes sometimes, but not enough to be consistent. I don't know. It's just a point that I just wanted to sort of like bring up. But it's just me and my fucking weird eye. But whatever.
I was gonna say I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, no, don't worry about it. But that's the island, everyone.
No, thank God.
You know, but I think it made for a good conversation, man. Like it's
yeah.
one of those,
I mean,
you know, it's not a great movie. I was about to say shitty, but I don't think it's shitty. I think it's okay. It's a good movie for me. But you know, it is one of those movies that does make for good conversation sometimes.
Yeah, because I think it's, I mean, and that's one thing we always talked about at the beginning of this podcast is we're going to wind up watching movies that we don't necessarily like. Is this the worst thing I've ever seen in my life? No. I mean, not by a long shot. You know, it's just an extremely forgettable movie that I would almost put in like a so bad it's good kind of thing. I'm not putting it in the same thing as like Trolls 2 or like The Room with Tommy Wiseau. You know, I'm not putting it in a level like that, or like Face Off with,
so
you know,
how's your sex life?
Dude.
You know, it's like, so how's your sex life?
I like
fucking Tommy Wiseau.
Oh God, yeah. His Joker audition is great. If you haven't seen it, it's really fucking funny. But this is not the worst movie I've ever seen. But it's just very forgettable. It's very typical. And, you know, I get that it's not trying to blow our socks off with some stuff, but I think when you go the route of something that's high concept, you know, this is high concept to something like Inception? God, no. You know, but at the same time, there's a lot of implications from this. There's a lot of existential implications. There's a lot of real world implications. This film could be an allegory for even abortion, if you wanted to talk about that, creating life that you don't really want to be responsible for, but ultimately you are kind of responsible for. You know, there's so many ways. That's what's great about film is, you know, and somebody could argue circles around me with that, and, you know, I could argue circles around them with that. That's what I like about it. But at the same time, the movie doesn't really. It could go that way, and I like that it doesn't go. I almost like that it doesn't go any certain way with a lot of its symbolism and allegory, because it leaves a lot of different avenues to kind of go down. But at the same time, it never really. The only clear message I could get from this movie is, you know, really just about, you know, individuality, and, you know, the funny part is, you know, we have these clones that are like dying, or these clones that are, you know, that are supposed to take the places of people that are dying. And it's funny because, you know, you kind of have a moral question of like, well, you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me. Like, and I'm the one who's dying. Like, it's like, so in a way you can kind of see both sides, because like, you know, without the root, you know, which came first, the chicken or the egg, you know, you can kind of figure that out on your own. But I think you know, and I agree with this personally, but most of the time it ends up being, you know, you're your own sentient kind of conscious being. Like, you're the ruler of yourself, even if you are, you know, a clone of something, or, you know, like we were talking about with Rick and Morty earlier, there's thousands of different versions of you, but that doesn't mean you have any lesser right to exist. I mean, you're here. So I think it's kind of, it does provoke some of those questions. But ultimately, for a movie that's 2 hours and 12 minutes long, and kind of is a high concept idea about something that, you know, can kind of get a lot of like lofty kind of thoughts about. You can get real big philosophical thoughts behind this. Ultimately, it doesn't really want to do that. It's just not that kind of movie. It wants to dip its toe in that, but it doesn't want to commit. And unfortunately, that's where it loses me, because once I'm all for that kind of stuff. I'm all for high concept, sci-fi, crazy ass, Blade Runner, Automata, Ex Machina kind of stuff. So I think it fails where it doesn't really try. Like it seems like it's going there, but then it just stops. It's like there's not a whole lot of more existential stuff brought up, and I get it. It's just kind of like a summer blockbuster movie. This is something that I doubt Scarlett Johansson and Ewan McGregor look back and like, oh yeah, I'm really glad I did that. But and also this is Scarlett Johansson's first sci-fi movie. What a dog shit introduction to the realm of sci-fi. Like, oh man, like I can imagine this being your first sci-fi film, because she's gone on to do what, Ghost in the Shell, and what is that movie she just did not too long ago? Under the Skin, and then you could even say Her, because she's the voice, the whole time. She's gone on to do some great sci-fi. I'm just glad that this didn't really put a damper in her taste, because sci-fi is not really for everybody, especially people who are acting in it. But those are kind of my final thoughts. I say 6 out of 10, maybe a 5.5. Won't watch it again. Will not own it.
Yeah. I like this movie.
I need a fucking cigarette. No, I'm just kidding.
Call me a piece of shit, man, but I like this movie. Look, I'm always for movies having messages and telling you, kind of like relating reality, and like telling you what it should be and what things are about, and basically being art. But look, man, sometimes you just want to watch something fucking dumb and something that's not boring. This is like, there is not one moment in this movie where I'm bored. It's just exciting. It's like loud. It's fucking, it's decently well shot. It's I don't know, man. I really like this movie. I don't know. Call me. Maybe I'm just even kind of being nostalgic with, like, first time I saw this was I was 12. So
sure.
I'm kind of like being a little bit nostalgic, but also kind of like being like, oh man, I remember the first time I was introduced to this concept and that concept, and like, sure, it doesn't really go too deep into those concepts, but as an introduction, it works really well.
Mm-hmm.
It works really well as an introduction to these kinds of concepts. Like, if you want something that goes a bit deeper, you can always watch something like Westworld, or you can always watch something like Blade Runner. Those movies set out with exploring those themes in mind, whereas this is more like, let's introduce these concepts to someone, but let's do it in a way that's a bit lighter and something that's a little more, I guess, more exciting and bombastic to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I really like this movie. As far as Michael Bay's direction goes, I think it's good. I've certainly got. I don't really have that many issues with his directing. I really like his visuals, man. Like, he's got such a great eye for action sequences, man. That chase is outstanding. Like, I don't know. I really like this movie, man. This is about a 7 for me, about a 7.5. I would own this. For some reason, I haven't really gone out and bought it, but it's on Netflix, so it'll do. But I like it, man. It's a good movie. I'm glad we talked about it. I want to note, we put out a little, hey guys, what do you think about this movie? If for some reason all you fucks keep on liking it and don't comment, don't be afraid to comment. Jesus. Kim Farley commented in the last 25 minutes. Thank you, Kim. I love this movie. One of my favorites. Thank you, Kim. Thank you for getting on board with me, because this has been a hostile crucifixion.
Oh, God, yeah,
I feel like I'm on trial defending this movie. But yeah, thanks for commenting. Really appreciate it.
I've put you through the ringer on this one. This is one of the first ones I watched, and I was like, I'm going to charge him for the rental of this movie.
I'm sweating over here, and it's only 20 degrees Celsius.
Well, yeah, whatever the fuck that means. No, speak American.
Speak American, goddammit.
But yeah. Yeah, without anything else, I mean, if you guys ever want to check us out, any of our other episodes, you can find us on most of your podcasting apps or just straight to our website on libsyn.com. We're also on Facebook, at Midnight Double Feature. There's the After Party, which is all one word. That's the conjoined group with that. You can also find us on Instagram at Midnight Double Feature and Twitter at MDF Pod. We're still going to be chugging along, doing a lot of episodes. We've kind of amped up since we were doing this mainly bi-weekly, and we've been doing it once a week here lately. We're not 100%, it might not always be the case, but for the foreseeable future, I'd say that it is, I guess, until fucking Red Dead Redemption comes out and Zoheb becomes a hermit.
Pretty much. We've been doing two episodes a week, man. We've been doing well.
Yeah, right. Well, is it 2 episodes a week or 1 a week?
Yeah. We've got upcoming attractions every week with me and Matt, and then we got beach presentations. Right,
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, if you guys ever have any suggestions or any comments, we've been getting some reviews back on iTunes, which is really nice, some positive feedback. So thank you guys. You guys know who you are. Thank you very much. Please keep listening. Let us know how we're doing. And without any other ado, cue that outro music.